Welcome, everybody. How you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I hope you're happy and healthy and doing all those things that you love with the people that you love doing them with. At least try and spend the next little while doing the things that you love with me and with the man I've got in the background as we go through on this Friday afternoon. It's very unusual for a club like Tottenham to release their figures on a Friday. Are they trying to bury the bad news as the weekend approaches and by Monday everything's done? Or is the actual detail a little bit better than maybe everyone was thinking? Or maybe were you expecting it to be good, but that would have annoyed you? Let's find out as we go through Tottenham Hotspur's financial results for last year, season 2021-2022. Please, guys, like the video on your way in, not on your way out. Usually I say do it at any point that you get the urge, but I'm asking you on your way in, take your shoes off and also smash the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Ladies and gentlemen, the Spurs Talk Show starts right now. Lovely touch from him, though. Harry Kane, Lucas Moura, can you do something, please? Last chance, Matt Doherty! Oh, you shite! There could be from the dead to the don't fuck it up now, don't fuck it up! Go and win it! Let's go! Last chance! Stephen Bergwijn! Stephen Bergwijn's through! Win it, Stephen! Come on! Yes! He's won it! He's gonna win it! Oh my God! Oh my God! We did it! Hey everybody, how you doing? Happy Friday. It is the 2023 version of February the 10th. Are you happy? Are you healthy? I really hope so, guys. How does the financial results look? Are they happy? Are they healthy? We're going to go through, look, we've got the statement that was released that was some like a summary of it all. And that's what I basically spent most of the morning looking at and then talking about on my walk. And then we're going through the Daniel Levy statement. And I think we're going to spend most of the time going through that today. But since then, they have also released the actual full 49-page accounts. And I've skimmed through the bits that are relevant. And I have got some screenshots that I didn't talk about on my Tottenham walk because I didn't know about them. And there's some pretty like eye-opening stuff when it comes to how much money we owe on things like player trading liabilities that are owed before the end of the year. What does that mean for next summer's spend? What does it mean for Tottenham generally? We're going to go through as much of that as we can in as, you know, the right level of minutia. I'm not going to try my best not to bore you, but let me know in the comments as we go through it. If I'm boring the life out of you, then I'll speed it up or I'll steer clear of the boring stuff and we'll get back to what it really looks like. And to help me out with this, to get me through the next, 2 hours, hour and a half, we'll see. I got a guy. He's a very lovely guy. You might know him as Sava Talks Spurs. Some people know him as Sava Talks Football because he has intentions of broadening his opinions into things outside of just the Tottenham Hotspur fan base. Ladies and gentlemen, please make yourselves known in the comments and make your gratitude known for this man as I welcome in the stream. It's Saba. How you doing, Saba?
I feel like that was way too good of an intro for me, for little old me. And what a great intro at the beginning. Love the video. Yeah, good.
Oh, is that the first time you've seen it?
I'm sure I've seen it before, but obviously there's so many flying around that I just forget whose is what. And
no, yeah. I need to update it, mate. You know, two reasons. One is Stephen Bergwine's no longer at the club, and two is that was less than a year ago, and yet you can see I felt I was overweight even when I was doing that video by a good few stone. But now I can just watch it and go, wait, I was actually in pretty good shape compared to where I am now. So it always reminds me to put down the pizza at the end of the show, you know?
Mate, listen, I was looking for some of my shorts the other day, and not in my drawers. I mean, like my shorts on YouTube. And one of them from about 3 months ago when I was doing personal training, I was like, yeah, my face actually looks all right there. Like I've got, and now I'm like, oh, no.
I know, mate. I feel it. I got the man boobs. Yeah, I need to get down the gym. Need to get something going on.
I've not gone that far yet. I've not gone that far. The missus would stop me if I got to that stage. But
that's the difference between you and I. See, you got yourself a girl. All I got is Bugsy Malone, you know, and she doesn't mind. Mate, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us, guys. There's about, 80 of you or something watching right now, which is really cool for just to get us going on this Friday afternoon. Before I get going, let me say hello to some people in the chat and just welcome them in. We've got Mo THFC, a big Levy outer. I didn't realize you're a big Levy outer, but I think you are a big Levy outer. From this statement, the reports show our lack of ambition and lack of understanding how football clubs operate. We are numbers and customers. Football will not be the board's priority soon. Legacy fans for a reason. Come on, you Spurs. Yeah, well, listen, maybe this show will, I don't know, maybe enhance your opinion of that, or maybe it will open up some minds and hearts. Who else we got? We've got Mia in the house. What's happening, Mia? She says, Spurs Talk Show, will you pay me? Will I pay you?
Hang on, before you pay me, are you paying me for this appearance fee? Like,
I don't know. What's going on? I think she's asking about for smashing a like on the way in. Unless you were offering some other service, Mia. I'm all ears, by the way. I'm kidding. I'm absolutely kidding. Lovely to see you, Mia. I hope you're well. If you want to jump on a little bit later on, I don't want to have like too many people come on immediately, because otherwise it will be boring for everybody whilst I'm going through this shit. So going to keep it me and Saba, and then if anyone wants to jump on a little bit later on, the link will be there. Kuva99's in the house. What's happening, Kuv? I scaled the wardrobe and the elbow dropped the like button from the top. Nice. Like Jake Paul. No, the other one, Logan Paul in WWE. He was doing those sorts of things recently, apparently. Good to see you, Kuv. I hope you're feeling better, mate. Hope your knee's okay. Lukey's in the house. What's happening, Lukey? Good afternoon, Sean. Good afternoon, everyone in the chat. Bill's here as well. Randy Savage style Kuva, 100%. I want to call this one out immediately. So we haven't received any money from the NFL Boxing and Concerts subsidiary payment of £0. What's going on? That's not true. There's I don't know, that's been spread around. You can see quite clearly in the reports that the NFL is a part of the accounts. And I think that the Lady Gaga concert, which people are talking about as being, where is it? That didn't happen until the 30th of July. And the report, the financial year finished at the end of June. So that will be factored into next year. Boxing, again, was last year, not in the previous year. So, yeah, any money that's coming from those things is baked in. As far as I understand, it's like I'm 99% certain that they're baked in. They mention it in the reports. They wouldn't mention it if they were hiding it. The subsidiary payments that you're talking about, the 23 million quid that is in somebody else's accounts, I think that's down to the property stuff. And like I've always said, that stuff is not baked into the Tottenham Hotspur reports. That stuff is all done elsewhere. The profit from it and the cost of it is not taken from Tottenham, which is a thing that people always throw, mud at Daniel Levy for. We're buying cinemas and stuff. None of that stuff is ever on the Tottenham Hotspur accounts, which is a good thing. It shouldn't be a thing. It's a bad thing. It should be seen as a good thing. So Andy Fernie's in the house. What's happening, Andy? Good to see you, mate. Afternoon, Sean. Bill's in the house. Proud to be a Geordie is in the house as well. Congratulations on your season, my man. Who hasn't enjoyed a stream that hasn't ever started? That's it. That intro is enjoying as hell. Good, mate. I appreciate that. Like I say, I need to update it to represent my current weight and also my current team's players, because he's not there anymore. He's over. He's flaky and failing in no Ginolo in that intro. Is there no Ginolo on the?
If there isn't, I'm thoroughly disappointed. the sexiest player ever played for Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, I've got to sort that out. I'm going to go. I'll update it immediately and put a clip of him, and it lasts 8 seconds. Just one still image of him with his hair, just for 8 seconds right at the end.
Just a highlight reel of his skill would just be enough for me, mate. I'd love that.
He's amazing, isn't he? Ollie Freeman's here. What's happening, Ollie? Good to see you, my man. Tom's in the house as well. Roy's in the house, a member of the show. Guys, if you do want to become a member, then there's 2 options. You can support the channel. You can become a Spurs Talk Show puppy. A Spurs Talk Show pony. And that really helps out. No need, never forcing it. But if you want to do that, then yeah. Then there's the options. You can find it in the join the member. We got Aaron in the house as well. What's happening, Aaron? Good to see you, my man. He's saying this guy. I think you're talking about me being on We Are Tottenham TV earlier. I wasn't. I just nipped on. Mr. Green's in the house. Mark's in the house. Jacob's is in the house. Rob's in the house. Derek's in the house. What's happening? It was for the like. I thought it was. Paul's also here. What's happening, Paul? Good to see you. He also loves a bit of Sava as well. Alex is in the house. What's happening, my man? Cooper from Alabama, how you doing? Paddy's here as well. Who else have I got? Said, "Oh, Soul Taker, you're back. Haven't seen you for ages, mate. How you been? Good. I hope you're well. Beyond 72's in the house. I think you're another Levy outer Beyond 72, if I'm not mistaken. Could be, could not be. I'm not entirely sure. And we got Eugene too. Lovely, lovely, jubbly. Guys, smash the like on your way in. Do me a favor if you haven't already hit the subscribe button, and we're going to get going. All right, let me get it up. Sava, you're going to have to bear with me for a little bit, mate, as I just read through some of this stuff, and then we can get some takes on it. How do I get this up? Let's go to the financial results. All right, guys, like I say, I'm not going to bore you with the 42, 49 page version of this. I'm going to bore you with the overall, the summary stuff. Okay, so essentially, obviously, the biggest deal for me when you're looking at these things is people look at the number last year versus the number this year. That's not the way that I look at financial results. I look at expectation versus reality, and that's how I figure out whether or not Tottenham are doing better than expected or worse than expected. And so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pivot immediately away from this, because that looks at that compares like for like. But instead, I think the best way to do it is to look at this thing here, which is, it's a bit of a rudimentary way of getting the numbers lined up from what was expected. So this thing on the right-hand side here, this page here, was released in January of last year. The Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust gave their responses to last year's results and then put down the estimates for this year, which we're seeing now, and that is represented here on the left-hand side. So the major takeaway, like essentially, they thought we were going to get 443 million quid in revenues, and we got 444. So a negligible difference. We hit the right number on the top line. And when it came to the profit from operations, they thought we were going to get 113, and we got 112.3. So we ever so slightly missed by a quarter of or 0.5% on the bottom line. It's largely irrelevant. We basically hit what was the expected numbers. But the takeaway for me in principle is that whilst we did that, we hit the top and we hit the bottom. How we got there, they missed the trick. Their predictions were wildly inaccurate. And here's how it worked out. They thought we were going to get 180 million from commercial stuff. So sponsorships, anything to do with raising money from parties like AIA or Get Here or any of that stuff. They got 180 was the proposed. They managed to eke out another 3.5 million. So about 2%, give or take. TV and media, they thought they were going to get 140. They ended up getting 144.2. So 4.2 on 144 is about 2%, give or take. UEFA prize money, it's an insignificant slice of the pie, but they got it wrong by 20%, 25%. They thought we were going to get 8 million. They got 10.2. So we ended up through finding revenue streams from things that have nothing to do with Tottenham fans. They managed to get an additional 10, 11 million than they thought they were going to get. But where they messed up is that they thought they were going to get 115 million quid from match receipts. And match receipts are essentially the prices of season tickets or match day tickets and anything that comes through the door on the day, sales of beer, sales of soft drinks, sales of food in the stadium. They said they were going to get 115 and they were 10% short. Massive hit. that doesn't seem like it's significant, but it actually is in terms of the picture that we can take from it. And that is that, and as we go through the actual the figures in a second, that they tried to put up prices to cover the additional cost of inflation, to cover the additional cost of the cost of living crisis, all those things. And then essentially what happened was they got to a point where they reached elasticity of demand, which is a boring economics term for you keep putting prices up. Eventually, you're going to stop making more money. People are going to stop paying those prices. And as you look at the other detail, which we're going to go through in a moment or two here, the initial takeaway from me is that Tottenham are going to struggle to be able to compete and to be able to generate the money that they want from Tottenham fans if they keep putting the prices up for the access to Tottenham events. If it's Tottenham games, whether when you come to the stadium and you buy beers or you don't buy beers, you buy them from the off license now instead. The story that has been told from 12 months ago, or from 18 months ago, from that period, from 24 months ago to 12 months ago, that story has been told that the cost of living is hitting them, and Daniel Levy has reached the point in which he can put prices up and still not have it impact his bottom line. The margins are being squeezed, and that is a problem, and a problem that they're going to have to figure out how to go about doing it. And we're going to talk how they do it right now. Sava, you go to the game, right? Do you buy, or do you not go to the game as much as you used to because of the cost?
Do you know what? I don't know how to say this without sounding like an arse. I'm not worried about the cost. I can afford it. Not in a bad way. Listen, you know, I'm old now and stuff, but I don't go because I don't want to put money in their pocket. You know my feelings on Enoch and Levy, but I mean all of that is very, very interesting. It's interesting to see what they thought they were going to get versus what they did get. It's eye-opening, I suppose, to see how much money. I was just looking there. One thing you didn't bring up there was staff costs, which I'm guessing encompasses players, backroom staff, ticket, all ticket office, head office, everything. Yeah. Can
Conte, I just ask Levy, everyone, all the way down to the guy who takes the tickets or security on the day?
You'll be able to answer this. So, does that include, like the documentary that's just come out, or the show on Sky Sports that's just come out called Daniel Levy Making a Home, Building a Home, whatever. Yeah. And you see all the people that work in the school, all the people that work in the surrounding area, in the kind of development centres. Does that cost fall into there as well?
No, that would anything that's part of that kind of Northumberland redevelopment project. That's all catered towards. That's all things that are factored onto one of the subsidiary accounts that doesn't affect Tottenham's cost or profit structure. So but it doesn't. Everyone that's related to like Tottenham, if you're a coach, if you're a staff, if you're a scout, all that shit, that's part of the
match day staff, anything like that is all right. So do you know how that lines up? So I believe it was 210 million. What you just showed on that graph, 210 million. Do we know what that is like compared to?
So that was
to our competitors. Like if we're comparing that to Arsenal, if we compare that to Liverpool, and not really Newcastle yet because they're just getting going on the journey. But do we know how that compares where we are?
No, I haven't looked at any of the statements of any of those clubs to know whether or not. But what I can tell you is I do have the where that's on the. Let me get it up for you now. I can show you the ratios. Yeah, it's under the Swiss Ramble did a good. Let me get it up. The Swiss Ramble is a brilliant Twitter account, guys. If you're not familiar.
By the way, I've got no agenda here. I'm genuinely interested to know how all this works. Right, I'm genuinely interested.
So he brought out a thing that had, is it wages to turnover? Here you go. Yeah, perfect. Let me get it up for you. So, and it's pertinent that we talk about this now because of the changing FFP rules, right? So FFP was what it was until this season. It's starting to transition, and there's a 3-year runway for clubs to adapt to the new version of sustainability, which is based on 3 tenets of like having, first and foremost, one of them is wages to turnover or cost to turnover. It's not just wages. It also includes your your amount of money that you spend on player trading, your salaries, and also agents fees. So those three figures, as of 2025-26 season, cannot exceed more than 70% of the money that your club brings in from all revenue sources, all avenues. And at the moment, or at least from last season, Paris Saint-Germain have 111% of, like, they're basically spending money they don't have. And this is just on wages. That's not on any of the other things that are going on with the operational costs. So Paris Saint-Germain, which, by the way, guys, is owned and operated by QSI, the same company that Tottenham fans are desperate for an investment from, a minority investment from.
So can I ask then? So Paris Saint-Germain, 111%. So,
but for us, Everton is relevant, 96%. Newcastle United, 95%. Right, so these guys need to adjust. Leicester City, 85%.
And this is is this over a 3-year period? They need to bring that back in line. Is that
they need to get this down over before 2020. I think there's a bit of a runway where they can get it in, but basically by the 2026 season, they need to have those numbers down below 70%. But this is just wages. They also need it to come down below 70% to include the amount of money you spend on player trading and on agents fees. Agents fees, I'm sure, aren't a massive significant factor of it, but player trading certainly is. So, yeah, you know,
I mean, seeing Everton up there, I mean, that's a real shock, seeing Everton that high. So what's the green versus red, unless I'm being really, really stupid?
That's just whether they've spent more or less than they did the season before.
I see. Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's a problem, mate. It's a massive problem that, you know, a lot of Tottenham fans are not really, you know, factoring in or talking about. But look, if you see that Tottenham Hotspur right now, we're down here at 4. This was obviously last season, or this was representing the figures of what we're looking at and talking about today.
Yeah.
So we've got a massive runway or wiggle room here, but it also prevents you from, you know, if Tottenham were to go out and drop 200 million quid, then that wasn't backed in or wasn't substantiated by cash injections from owners. The reason why Paris Saint-Germain can get away with it, the reason why Newcastle United can probably get away with it, is because there's nothing really stopping them in the current rules. The owners are just putting more money in,
right? Yeah.
To be able to see their turnover go up and their wages ratio go down.
By this reckoning, and obviously bearing in mind that this was last year, we've got 23% to play with before we're in any breach before 2026. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, we're fine. Like there's no risk from Tottenham. And the argument is, well, why aren't we pushing the boat out a little bit more, right, on spending players? But at the same time, I just think that Tottenham Hotspur are a club, and the owners are a club that see the future. You know, I've said it before on my videos. There's like a noose that's tightening around the heads of clubs that have, you know, behaved in a certain way for so long, that has frustrated the life out of so many Tottenham fans, because they see other clubs doing it and say, why can't Tottenham? And I think it's reasonable and justified to some extent, but at the same time, with the rules changing in the direction that they are, the rules are going to move. It's almost, it's like the line is maybe like Newcastle haven't crossed the line yet, but maybe the line crosses Newcastle, if that makes sense. If the rules continue to pivot in the way that they're going, and this new Super League that's being proposed even represents even tighter and stricter sustainability measurements that suggest that you're not allowed to spend money that, like, the ratios of spend to income to outgoings is even going to take out of consideration cash that has been injected by the owners. So if that's the case, teams like Paris, teams like Everton, Newcastle, Leicester, Juventus, Inter, all of those teams are in an absolute world of pickle. Let me
play devil's advocate then. So listen, from someone who doesn't particularly like the owners, I suppose a question I would ask would be, doesn't that show that we've got money there to play with? So, i.e., one of the things that always gets said is, you know, let's sign, let's sign Osimhen from Napoli, and people go, oh, well, no, Osimhen will want 250k a week, and Harry Kane's the highest paid player on 200. We can't go above that. I'm guessing my rationale would be, well, hang on, then there clearly is money to break that salary barrier, right?
Yeah.
With the fact that I'm guessing that as the years go on, the revenue for Tottenham is going to grow and grow and grow, right? The more concerts, the more boxing, the more NFL. So
100%.
Does that mean that from what I'm seeing there, it looks like we're staying steady, and I get that from a business model. In any particular market, people need to decide whether they're going to hedge their bets or whether they're going to stick and see out rough times.
Mm-hmm.
But surely, shouldn't we be moving with that revenue as it's going up? For me, shouldn't, like, the fact that we're at 47%, doesn't that show that we're playing it really safe? Just devil's advocate.
No, we are. We 100% are, right? And so, look, I think that this conversation, the last few weeks, with what's happening with Manchester City, with what's happened with Juventus, with what's happening with Manchester United maybe being bought by the Emir of Qatar that want to come in and get ahead of these FFP rules. There's a reason why there's so many conversations happening right now about new investment coming into Liverpool, to Manchester United, maybe to Tottenham in various formats, is because you've got 3 years to dump as much money as you want in, and then to figure it out and hope then that you can make the adjustments over that period where you can get ahead of the competitive curve, but then fall back within it gently. What Tottenham are doing is to stay competitive, or trying to stay competitive, but ultimately not quite getting there. And they're kind of walking up, they're approaching the bar that is lowering slowly, whereas what other teams are going to do is go above the bar and then see if they can drop back below it just at the right time. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I'm guessing, for example, if we're looking at PSG, you're looking at one of the best ways they can bring that right down is you lose a Lionel Messi and he's 500 grand a week or whatever he's on.
100%.
You lose, so then it doesn't make sense then what they did with Mbappe, where they gave him, I don't know, what they paying him, like 800 grand a week or whatever.
800 grand a week. Yeah.
So okay, no, I get that. I get all that. I just feel like we are very
risk averse, 100% risk averse.
Yeah, we're 100% risk averse. And my question is this: as those rules do tighten, and we're seeing, what you said earlier, they're going to tighten by 2026. Does that mean, in your opinion, just asking in your opinion, that for the next 3 years we're going to see a very flatline kind of spending pattern? So we're just going to live within our means. We're not going to go big, and we're just going to float along as we are, fourth, fifth, whatever it is, for the next few years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I personally have read through these results, and the way I'm interpreting it is more around like this particular statement, the statement that they've chosen to send out, that most people are going to read. Most people aren't going to read the 49 pages. And I hadn't read the 49 pages before I came to this conclusion, but there's certain things that are not being mentioned in this, the kind of fan-facing document that are, I think, quite important to call out. And it's things like the amount of the additional cost. Like our margins have come down our margins have been cut dramatically because of the cost of living, which tells me this tale of costs going up, but when you put the prices up to match, you get less money coming in. People aren't willing to pay it. That's a problem. And I think that what I can see from looking through the rest of this stuff is that I think you need to expect Tottenham, if they are going to play on the sustainability model, you want to encourage them to utilize that stadium every single day, if they can, for things that are not Tottenham related. But Beyonce concerts, whatever the next concert, Coldplay, take that, whoever the next series are, we need to be, as a fan base, if you want the best, outside of like wishing that the owners were to leave, if that's what your stance is, you want them gone. I still don't think necessarily that any new owner that came in, a sugar daddy, I think the time left for sugar daddies to get in and splash the cash, I think those days are kind of running out, right? And Chelsea and Manchester City have been the beneficiary of taking advantage of poor rulings over the last 15 years. They've come in, they've spent ridiculous sums of money. They've got all those trophies. Now Manchester City are getting called out for cheating. I personally think that Chelsea have also done exactly the same thing, but I don't know how you blame a new owner for the mismanagement or the misrepresentation of an old owner. But essentially, I think the time left for new sugar daddy ownership is running short. And so I don't think Daniel Levy or Inik are going to do that. I think that they're going to sit there and say, look, we have to look at the future, look at the tightening of this noose. The levels are going to come down. We are perfectly placed, but we need to maximize revenues in any way we possibly can. And one of the things that becomes clear is that match day revenues are no longer an inelastic expense for Tottenham fans. Like, you're passionate, but there's a point to which you're not going to spend £10 on a pint. You'd rather go to the off license, right? And so Tottenham, sorry, mate, go on. Yeah.
I just want to say, no, interesting point. Look, from my point of view, I just wonder. Look, my purpose in this conversation, right, isn't, listen, you know my stance. I think everyone knows my stance on the owners. But what I don't want to do is just be, oh my God, get out, get out, get out. What I want to question is, okay, I sit here as a fan and go, yeah, come on then, let's get as many concerts in. NFL every other weekend, concerts every night of the week, boxing, this, that, the other. How long do you think fans would be patient with that before they then want to see that reward going in? Because if fans have already lost, not all fans, I'm sorry, I shouldn't.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Some fans. Yeah.
Some fans are already past the point of being patient with that and asking, where's the money? We've got all these concerts and this revenue. Why aren't we buying better players on bigger fees? How long do you reckon they're going to give now when we're saying, okay, we want to encourage that?
Well, listen, how I've always been someone that is probably considered. I mean, I get accused of being a Levy in or an ENIC in. I'm not. Yep. I've never have been ENIC in. I just always challenge the ENIC out argument and this kind of detail that comes out and these future I think that kind of validates the opinion. I know that ENIC can be a very frustrating owner in the past, and maybe they were the right owners, but at the wrong time. But maybe going forward, they're the right owners at the right time if the rules change. What I would encourage is a little bit more patience. And I understand that that's that's the same story that everyone's been asking for the last 20 years. How long is long enough? I get it. Mm-hmm. But I do think that the gap between the haves and the have-nots in the Premier League is changing. And I think that there's a lot of pressure. You're right. I think there's a lot of pressure on the Premier League right now from European leagues, the giants of the European leagues that can't compete. They bankrupted themselves through mismanagement of their own finances. And I think that there's so much pressure coming from the Italian league, the Spanish league, other places to say clamp down, which is part of this European Super League narrative. I think that Daniel Levy and ENIC's tenure may just turn out to be a wonderful thing in a couple of years if we can get through this as a united fan base. I'm not asking people to change their mind. Like, I would never say anyone's been wrong or right to have the opinions that they've had. But I think that you should be able to read through these documents. You should be able to see what's happening in the world or in the European football space and see what's happening to Juventus, see what's happening to Manchester City, see what should be happening to Paris Saint-Germain, and see what should be happening to Chelsea, and envision a period that's not too far down the line where, clubs that can live within their means and make ends meet are going to be rewarded. And if Tottenham can get there while still hanging around in the top 4, top 5, I think we're best placed to take advantage of the new era of finance in football that's probably emerging in the next year or so.
Do you know what? Apologies for that. It's always annoying when your doorbell goes and then they go, oh, sorry, wrong house. Brilliant. Thanks, mate. I'm streaming. What are you doing?
Are you willing to be patient, Saba?
Look, I think for me, I think I might be slightly different to a lot of the angry ENIC out people. Because, listen, for me, it's not so much about just not winning a trophy. And I know that's what's leveled at them, right? Obviously, I want to see trophies. But my I don't want to say my anger, my kind of threshold in the last couple of years has more spun into not so much about the not winning trophies, but it's that I feel, only Richard Sava's opinion, right?
Yeah.
That 22 years in, I still don't see what they've done. I'll tell you what, this person's got a... Sorry, mate.
Right. Go do your thing. Yeah, look, to me, guys, what I'll do, whilst he's not here, I'll talk for a moment about the reason why I feel the way I do. And it's, by the way, smash the like, guys. There's 150 of you here. What are we on? How's the likes going? 50 likes, guys. You can You can help me out a little bit on that one, can't you? You can all smash that like button and get it up to 100 if you wouldn't mind. If I can ask you to do a little favor for the channel. Here's the area that I think we should be positive. We should take in positive stride, right? So let me get my my little thing back up. First and foremost, right, as with prior years, no dividends have been paid. That to me is something which should be applauded. You might not like the way that we spend the money that we do generate, but at least the guys aren't taking the money out. You know, the Glazers, for example, are a group who put in a fraction of like 1% over the last 20 years of what they initially put in. And every year they take out more and more money from their club. And just when we're at peak valuations, they now want to sell on to a new owner. Manchester United fans are delirious about this. You know what? Figure it out, guys. You probably got a year or two to have that extraordinary spend. Not that I can remember a single season ever where Manchester United ever had to. So, Saba, can you ever remember a period where Manchester United said, sorry, we can't afford that guy?
A period when Man United said that?
Yeah. I mean, this idea, Man United fans are like delirious that they're getting rid of the Glazers. Because I'm talking about the fact that we haven't taken any dividends, right? And we don't take dividends, which is the idea of this profit before glory banner that the unique out guys have. I think it's always based on a misrepresentation of the truth. Like, you might be making profits, but you're not taking profits. That none of those guys are taking any money out of the club in the form of dividends. That same accusation can't be held towards the Glazers. They do take the money out every single year. They've made absolute killing every single year out of Man United. And when they sell, they're going to also walk away with billions and billions in profit. And I don't know what changes. Like, the new guys come in, they might have the ability to spend 500 million quid to regenerate their entire squad or build the new stadium. But ultimately, can you remember a period when Manchester United ever walked away from a deal because it was too expensive?
No, I mean, no, not really. I mean, there was that situation where they wouldn't pay for Sancho and then it went on another year and then they ended up getting him. They spent massive money on Pogba. They spent massive money on Lukaku. No is the answer. Sorry about that. That was my next door neighbour this time. Honestly,
That's
when
right.
I work from home,
all right.
Oh my God, just Amazon parcels, just sharing across the neighbourhood. Yeah. No, to be honest, mate, no. Man United have never really had that problem. But so can I just go back to what I was saying, if that's all right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Go back, yeah.
If the door goes again, I'm not getting it. I'm not.
That's all right. It's no problem, mate. No problem. Carry on.
For me, it's not been just so much about not winning trophies. For me, I would like to have seen, after 22 years of ownership, a plan. And I don't just mean a stadium. I don't mean just a plan to build revenue. Great. I get that. They've done that. I get what they've done in the community. Brilliant. Wonderful. I'm not going to knock Daniel Levy for what he's doing to help kids in the area and give people jobs. That's not my game. Well done on that, right? My annoyance, and you might have heard me say this last night on David Harris's show, big up David, is that after 22 years, I still look at the team and go, we just have a mishmash of different managers with different styles. Our transfer strategy still to this day makes zero sense to me. I don't know what we're doing. Yeah. Is it young players for the future? Is it ready-made players now? Is it 33-year-olds on a loan? Is it 33-year-olds on a free? Is it loan players from Barcelona? I don't see what we're doing there. I still look at the youth, the academy, and I think you've had 22 years and it's probably one of the worst in the league. Let's be really honest. Let's take Harry Kane out of that equation because Harry Kane is the anomaly, right? Harry Kane's come around, every 20, 30 years through a club's academy, right? They've done nothing there. That's more my annoyance, is that
I think that's reasonable.
Those three pillars,
yeah.
I'm still looking as a fan now going, what's your plan? What's your plan? Like, as I've said before, and I know I get a lot of stick for this, Sean, but you know me, I don't mind a little bit of stick. Like with Conte, my thing has always been, okay, everyone wetting themselves and creaming their pants over Antonio Conte. For me, a short-term manager, that means another 2-3 years, however long he's here, of just doing with it. Yeah? I.e., There's no long-term plan there. He'll then go. They'll bring in another manager with a different ethos. And look, like your man there, Craig Bowler, in the chat saying the plan is straightforward: increase revenue, invest in the team. But I don't feel like you're listening to what I'm saying. Then, away from just saying who we buying, It's about the plan for the club. And when you look at other clubs and they've got that, now you know what the pathway is from the under-8s all the way up to the first team. You know that if this manager gets sacked, the next manager coming in is going to be of the same ilk, right?
And I think that's a really good point, Saba. I think the conversation for people that want to be Levy in, Levy out, Levy, shake it all about, however you feel, I feel like there should be a movement back towards the middle ground. There's a giant middle ground where there's so much room for everyone to communicate. And for me, I think that information like what's happened today, information that's came out around Manchester City and Juventus and Manchester United, and like I say, I hope Chelsea and Paris Saint-Germain, all of those things, I think that Levy conversation now needs to pivot away from greedy Daniel Levy and move back towards a more delicate middle ground where you start to answer questions that are not focused around lack of spend or why we're not spending, but more around what is the plan? Why is it that we pivot from one philosophy to another all the time? And then is Paratici doing a good enough job? Or did Steve Hitchin or Paul Mitchell or whoever else in the previous 20 years do a good enough job hiring the right people, firing them if they didn't work out soon enough? And I think that's where the conversation now needs to be pushed, because I think financially, I think that there's more than enough for me information that's emerging that says that Tottenham are in the right hands financially. I think that stuff's going to figure itself out, but we need to make sure that Daniel Levy and everybody else at the top is doing everything they can to maximize the utilization of the funds that we have in the right way.
Listen, for me, I just want to see, I feel like, listen, I think there's some very positive fans, and they're the same positive fans I've been speaking to for the last 2 decades that I've been saying this. Like this, the squad's shaping up really nicely. I don't look at this squad and think it's shaping up nicely. I look at this squad and see that Hugo Lloris needs to be replaced. You need 2 new centre-backs. You've got a 33-year-old left wing-back who can't defend, right? You've got midfielders that are all of the same ilk. There's no one in there with any kind of difference. You've got Kane, whose contract might be ending soon. I get it. Positivity is great. And I know that in this world, especially in the YouTube world, people either say, oh, you're negative or you're positive. For me, I think there's somewhere there's a lot of grey areas, right? It's like the old conversation with Hakimi, Sean. It's like, oh, what right wing back do you want? I want Hakimi or everyone else's crap. No. You've got Hakimi up here, and then you've got a lot of players that fit within that bracket to what we've already got, right?
100%, yeah.
And I liken that now to our club, right? It's not just for me about a first 11. We've seen it before. So, again, apologies. Listen, I've got nothing against that Craig Bowler guy in your chat.
I love Craig. See, I love Craig. I know Craig. Yeah. Craig comes in from one particular point. I massively respect you, Craig, but I know that obviously you say things that maybe don't always fit with the other narrative. So,
the thing is, what he's saying here, is the exact opposite of what is happening. When he's saying it's a mismatch of players, you need to build a flexible squad that can play 3-5-2, 3-4. We're not doing that at all. We're not. What we're doing at the moment is we're only centering around the 3-4-3. That's all he's centering around. If you were centering around the 3-5-2, you would have brought in some creativity in midfield, whether that be a Barella type or whether that a Fabregas type or whether that be more of a Madison stroke Ericsson type in the hole. If you were focusing around flexibility, you'd buy fullbacks, you'd buy wing backs that can play fullback as well. You'd buy centre backs that can play in a 2 or a 3. What I'm seeing at the moment, and this is where I probably differ from a lot of people, and this isn't knee-jerk, Sean, I was saying this all summer. Yeah. I look at what we bought in the summer and I go, what was the plan? What was the plan for Longley? What was the plan for Basuma? What was the plan for Richarlison, for Jed Spence, for Forster? Now, I've just named 5 players there that have done nothing for this football club.
Yeah.
Right? So when people are telling me, oh, my God, every window, and this is where I need people to explain it to me, right? And I'd love these positive people in the chat, like a Craig, to come on and tell me, what was the point of Longley, right? What was the point of Richarlison, who's not going to get any game time through the middle? What was the point of Jed Spence, who we've already seen after 6 months has gone out on loan to France? What was the point of Fraser Forster, who fans don't even want to see in goal, right? What was the point of Galini, What was the point of Brian Hill? What was right? We can keep saying they've bought players, but for me, I can't see the actual strategy. I see that what we're doing is we're building a team or trying to build a team for Antonio Conte, for nothing else. That's fine. But when Conte leaves and then people go, oh, this new manager's coming. You brought in I don't know, you bring in De Zerbi. Right?
Yeah, different system, different, not just a different formation, but an entirely different philosophy. Is it square pegs, round holes? I 1,000,000%,
right,
100%. Everyone that has a problem with Daniel Levy, that is based on that reflection of the lack of philosophy ahead of if it's the financials, if it's we don't spend money, or you don't get it done, or you take 6 weeks to get a 4-week transfer window finished and completed, those sorts of things. I think that I personally believe, whilst I understand it, and everyone is welcome to feel how they feel, and I'm never trying to change opinions, I'm just sharing mine. I feel like the sorts of things that we're seeing in the reports right now, and the sorts of things we're hearing around sustainability rules and what's happening with the Premier League getting the noose tightening, I think the argument about them as an owner that is willing to back a manager, and the stick that is beaten with is compare them. Why can't we do what Chelsea do, or not even close to Chelsea, but half of what Chelsea, or do what Man City, or whatever, any of those things? I think that argument is going to extinguish. It's going to be saturated very soon. That doesn't excuse Daniel Levy for the things that I have always held up a banner for and say, I agree with everyone that's ENIC out on this, that there is a massive, massive dislocation from the sustainability or consistency narrative. When you say that we're going to play attractive football, that's our philosophy, yet you go and hire 3 managers, one after another, all of whom don't do that. And to me, so I think the argument needs now that the pressure now needs to pivot on Daniel Levy. People that are ENIC out, they need to drop the financial narrative and move towards the philosophy narrative.
Money has been spent. I have never, ever, I don't think in all the debates we've had, arguments we've had about this, Sean, I've ever said Levy's not spent money, right? Now, this is where it comes into, proud to be a Geordie, spot on, not even a Spurs fan, absolutely spot on, spot on, absolutely, a club philosophy, not a manager philosophy, yeah? This is what I agree with. There's a huge difference between when people just, I hear this from so many YouTubers, back Conte. It's like, whoa, hang on. Forget Conte, back an ethos, a strategy, back a plan. I don't care about Conte, right? I don't care about Jose. I don't care about Poch. These are people that come in, they sit at the helm.
Here today, gone tomorrow. Yeah, I don't care about them either.
I'm a fan. You're a fan. Everyone in the chat is a fan forever. We don't get the choice to go. Oh, I'm going on loan to Man City, like some people say. That kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Get that. So for me, that's all I want to see. I want to see that there's a philosophy from right the way through, from the under. I don't know what age they start now. Probably under ones or whatever they start at.
Yeah. Fetuses are being trained up in the prenatal clinic.
Exactly right. I want to see a philosophy from that age right the way through to the first team. I want to see something that, as a fan, when I look and go, okay, that's what we're building towards, i.e. on a lesser scale, because they don't have the money we have and they don't have the forwards we have. Brighton, right?
Brilliant example.
Brighton is the best example. They were a League One championship team for years and years and years and years. Their philosophy has been built over a number of years. Everyone knows the football they play. You can see that they've got a plan, and they know every time they sign a player that we all go, who?
And also, listen, I might be exposing my ignorance here, but who the hell was De Zerbi? Like, where did he come from? Like, after they lost Graham Potter, they had this guy in place, and he's kicked them on a gear. They've lost their best players. They lost Cucurella, they lost Bissouma, right? And then suddenly, and they lost Trossard. And now you've got new players emerging, Caicedo, Bintoma. So I don't know where, like, listen, I spend a lot of my time, like, I'm busy guy. Either if I'm not talking about Tottenham, I'm talking about business with my things that I've got going on in my life. I don't understand. I don't know. I haven't looked into it. What is the Brighton? What is that kind of the the formula is what I'm looking for. And the same, I'd even go back 3 years, 4 or 5 years, and say Leicester had it. I don't think they have it as much anymore, but they had it for a period, and they obviously generated massive success. And I heard you say last night, Sava, and it was a brilliant point. You take Tottenham's front line and you put it in Brighton.
And this
where
is
did
why
Brighton finish?
This is why, exactly. So this is why when we try and have reasoned debates, I would always implore people in the chat to listen to it as a reasoned debate. And what I mean by that is the comment you're about to come to in 2 comments time from SOF, right? This is where SOF always goes against whatever I say, right? As Richard Troy, brilliant, right? Always goes against what I say. Context is a huge word in football. Brighton, as I just said, Brighton have come from nowhere a few years back. Brighton have come from a club that for years and years and years were playing in the lower leagues, right? With a crappy little stadium. And trust me, I went down there. It was cold. It was horrible, right?
Sorry, mate. I was typing there. Say that again. You were a coach at Brighton, did you say?
No. I said I've been down there to watch games many moons ago to Brighton. It was horrible. For me, this is where I think people don't understand. I'm not saying, right? I've got to be really clear about this. I don't want to be Brighton. But my point is, when you look contextually at the way Brighton Football Club is run, it is brilliant. They do not have the revenues we have by any stretch of the imagination. They don't have a Kane, a Son, and a Kulusevski to get them 50, 60 goals between them a year. Yeah. They lose all their best players and constantly got a conveyor belt of replacing them.
Yeah.
All their scouts are on the same page.
Well, they can't get a striker. Who was the striker? I forget his name. Mopay. Yeah, right. Like he couldn't hit a Barnes backside or whatever the phrase is, right? He was so bad that he was their main. And I don't know how that guy's created a career because he moves around the Premier League bottom half of the table teams. But if Brighton had one good striker, they would be a top 4 team, and yet they can't seem to find it.
But this is the thing. Listen, they know who they are as a club, right? Now, where they could be in the future, obviously that all depends on greater revenues, on the first time they get European football, that type of stuff. But when anybody who said to me, "Oh, but they don't qualify for Europe right now," well, no, of course they don't. They shouldn't. Let's be really honest. When you look at the squad, Spurs, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, Newcastle, Man United, City, right?
Yeah.
Brighton should not even be in the question, right? Brighton should not be tucked 5 points behind us with 2 games in hand, right?
Yeah, but they are.
But this isn't just about league position for me. And this is where I think it's about bigger picture, right? Bigger picture for me is you look at Brighton, all their scouts are on the same page, right? My Graham, who I stream with, I used to stream with loads. He used to be the head of the academy at Charlton, so he's got so many links within the game. And his friends, his friend works at Brighton and says he's never seen such a well-oiled club that everybody's on the same page. The scouts know exactly what they're looking for. Yeah, the scouts know and the club know who the bids are already going to go in for next year, the year after, as long as players continue the trajectory that they're scouting. Yeah. Because they know the ethos, they know the system. And people, again, Craig, you're not understanding. He's saying people are going to go nuts if we were linked with the players Brighton bring in. But that's not the point. My point is...
Well, it is a point, though. It is a point, Sava. Like, I know what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. And listen, I agree with you 100% that the philosophy, the ethos is consistent there and it's inconsistent at Tottenham. But you must have seen the reaction over the last 18 months to the players that we've been linked with. Like last January, we spent all January of 2022 being linked with that fella, the Moroccan fella, who excelled at the World Cup. And when we were linked with him from Amrabat, I think, is he at Atalanta or is he at Sampdoria? I forget where he's at.
He's currently at Fiorentina.
But when we were linked with him last year, all I was seeing was typical Levy signing, signing.
Sure.
And then suddenly people are waxing lyrical about him.
You know why, Sean? Because there's no faith, because there hasn't been okay, so for example, and I'm using Brighton as an example, even if you want to go to an even lower example of that, look at Brentford. This is a team that don't have the academy teams. They have a reserve team that go all around the world playing other clubs' B teams. They scout while they're playing them. They take those players, put them in. They buy them for £1 million.
Is that right? Is it? Brentford don't play a youth system?
No. Brentford
put
people into like what David Beckham's son's got into. They go into reserve team. They'll go and play teams in Denmark, Netherlands, Romania.
Why don't we do that? I didn't know that that was a thing, but I've always said the getting rid of the Tottenham reserves and pivoting to an under 23 or an under 21 system, the gap between that and first team football is so vast that you can't learn anything from seeing a player go into the under 21s Tottenham and then going and banging in like Dane Scarlett or whoever, right? Going and banging in 25 goals in a season. And then they go, well, is he ready to step up? Not really. He has to go and start his next season in League One or League Two. Like the gap is so pathetic. It's massive that there's no benefit in having that system. I would love to go back to the reserve team and doing what obviously Brentford you're saying is doing.
They're another good example of it works. They bring in these players cheap. They know what they are. When they sell them on, they make a huge profit. They bring the next person through and you go, where did you get this play? Like solid players. Like when you watch Brentford, when you watch Brentford play, and I think when we played them, their back three would cost something like 3 million between them, like or something. Yeah. And you think to yourself, how have you done that? But again, it's an ethos, it's a culture. So at the moment, if Spurs went and tried to sign one of those types of players, and somebody in the chat's used the example of Matoma, right?
Yeah.
So
where did he come from? I didn't even know about him until this season. Where did he come from? Do you know?
But like for example, SOF has said we should be looking at Leao, not Matoma, for example. I'll ask the question: why? Why should we be looking at a Leao and not a Matoma? Now, I'm not saying Matoma's the
world's best. It's a bit of a redundant, but Leao's going to cost you 80, 90 million, right? He's just not. Tottenham aren't going to pay that money at this stage, you know?
And what did Matoma cost Brighton? And look how well he's doing.
I don't know. I don't actually know. How much did he cost? Do you know? I can get him up. I can look. Let's have a look.
I'm pretty sure someone said it was something like 5 or 6 million or something.
Let's look him up on Transfer Market.
But why? Do you know what I mean? When people say these things, I think it should be a mixture of these top signings, and signings that are scouts that we trust say, do you know what? Trust us. This next one coming in. Now, the difference is, Sean, is this. At the moment, we've had so many failures in terms of your Njis, your Nkudus, those sort of players, that when a player comes in, we go, oh, whatever. When Brighton fans get a player coming in they never heard of, I guarantee they will say, trust the scouts.
Wow. Okay, so Brighton signed him from Kawasaki Front. Can you see that? Is that on the screen?
Yeah.
Who the hell are they? Obviously, they're a Japanese team sponsored by a fucking business. Like, does Tottenham even have a Japanese or an Asian market scout to that degrry? That's mad, isn't it?
Where we scout
1.8 million they paid for him 18 months. No, was that 36 months ago, give or take 30 months ago, and then they brought him in and they loaned him out to Union SG, who's a Belgium team, and they actually, I don't know if they got any money for it. And then he came back, and now he's back here, and he's just stepped in this season. So he was 2.5 million. He's nothing at all. He's come back from loan. So this is the first. So I was thinking, am I mad? Like, why haven't I heard of this guy before? And everyone's talking about him like he's a world beater, but he's literally been around for half a season.
Right. Now, Sean, there are lots of people in your chat saying, the players they sign are good for where Brighton are in the table. I hate to break it to you, Brighton are 4 points or 5 points behind us with 2 games in hand, right? So when we're saying where they are in the table, they're where we are in the table. I feel like, sorry, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say it. This might get me into trouble. But
you can say it. I've just literally got to run for a wee, mate. I've had too much water. Crack on.
The problem is so many people can't see past one season. It's like one season. I'm trying to talk about a bigger picture, building a process, an ethos, a structure for the future. And so many of our fans don't get that. And sorry, Craig Bowler, you're the main culprit. Everything I've seen from you today is, but we've got Sessegnon who can play left back, who's absolutely shocking. We've got Emerson Royal who can play right back. You know, we've got Ben Davies who can play. It's like, come on, like, where's the forward thinking? Where's the planning? Where's the strategy? How have we got fans that still don't see that we have not got a strategy in place at all? I'd love it. SOF, right? SOF and no, God, I can't. SOF, I can't. You're not listening to us. You're not listening. I can't debate with people that in the chat that don't understand what I'm saying. It's pointless.
What's happened? Who's not seeing?
No, nothing. I'm just looking at like SOF going, put that Brighton team in Europe, they won't keep up. That's not the point. Is it's relative. It's context. It's not us versus Brighton. We have more money than Brighton. We should be able to do what Brighton do on a bigger scale. Is my point. Scouts all over the world that bring in players that you go, where did we find this guy from? And at the moment, I don't see, when was the last signing where we went, who is this guy? This guy's brilliant and was cheap as chip. Who was the last signing?
Oh, Jed Spence was probably one. Udogie was probably the other.
But two players we've not seen in a Spurs shirt.
Right. And well, listen, but on that Udogie thing, not that I want to sidetrack the conversation because it's a great conversation and I want to continue going with it, but I do just want to bring up a couple of things that I saw on these results. Right. Let me see if I can just open them up on because I wonder like whether or not like the point I'm trying to get out of one of the things today was that I do agree with you on all the things you're saying. I do 100% agree with you on the idea that that Tottenham need to get a philosophy, right? Certainly need to improve our ability to identify, better talent and things. But here's where I let me see if I can get it up. Where is it? No, that's the wrong one. Sorry. Stop screen. Start again. So I'm going to go into the actual Tottenham Hotspur, the bit of the detailed reports here, which is really boring and rubbish. But just bear with me 1 second because there's a couple of things on here that I find that were pretty mad. Where is it? Is this it? Sorry, guys. Give me 10 seconds here, and I'm going to find it. Oh my god! Wait, I want to do it in a better way. It's easier if I just do it this way. Hang on, mate. Sorry, dude. I'm being a bit of a dickhead here. So I think it's this one.
Sorry about Frank, by the way. He's just cleaning his paws. He's just having a
lick. Frank will have to meet Bugsy one day. Oh, you know what, mate? Listen, I'm gonna figure this out in the background whilst I'm talking to you. But essentially, what the point of the screenshot I'm trying to find, right, is the amount of player trading liabilities that we have. We have we've got 109. Here you go. I'm going to talk about that. 109 million pound in registration fees that we spent as of 2020. In 2021, we had an additional 73 million pound. In 2022, in the summer, we are going to have 150 million, give or take, in money that has to go out. The end of this season, we have to find 150 million pound to pay for players that we've already signed that we haven't already necessarily seen, or that are players that we've already paid for that we've already started having the benefit of. Hi, Eugene. How are you, mate?
Hi, Sean. It's been a long time.
A long time, buddy. How you been?
Yeah,
you look healthy.
Yeah. Still in pain, but I'm
in
okay.
Pain?
Well, yeah, I've always been in pain. Oh, I've got the sciatica, so it follows my life.
Bad backs, yeah. I've been having a bad back. I'm probably not as bad as you for sure, but like my back started to irritate me. Mate, I'll come to you first on this one. Forget about what I'm talking about because you know what? I'm going to figure it out as you guys are talking, and I'll get it up when I've got the point ready. How do you feel about it, mate? Listen, I know you're a massive Levy out. I know you're always Levy out. have you gone through the reports? Do you share my opinion a little bit that the outlook going forward with regards the sustainability and the FFP things, the noose is tightening a little bit on teams that have got away with it in the past and that now they're not going to, and so maybe our system, our model should start to reap the kind of fruits of that labor, and therefore maybe we should ask a few fans that are a bit more maybe like yourself, Eugene, to give it a little bit longer, give it a little bit more time, and you'll start to see that the gap will close between those that had and those that didn't, because of the new rules that are coming in, and that Tottenham are actually pretty well run and pretty sustainable.
To tell the truth, Sean, 49 pages of the financial reports. I haven't gone through it, but I've seen snippets of the summaries and all that. I do have some questions. How come we have 440 million revenue and operational costs on the stadium? We made a profit, and in the end of the day, we have a loss of 50 million pounds. So where the rest of the money goes?
That's amortization and depreciation, right? So when you
it's
like when you have a new car. In the first year, you have a car.
I understand, but the thing is that your amortization and depreciation, right? That is that a subjective thing, or is it you really lost the money, or you're just putting that money aside to hope that the money's been lost on the players or whatever? But of course, I'll have to go through
it's not lost money. It's not lost cash. There's 220 million pound cash on the books. So there's no loss of cash. It's just a writing down of things. It's not subjective. There's a science to it, but
I understand. Yeah. It's better that way, because if we project a loss in a legal way that they put it, right, we don't have to pay taxes.
Yeah. Woo-hoo! And that's what the whole thing's for.
That's the whole thing for, just to avoid taxes in there. That's how I see it. But what you were saying about the tightening of nooses, the bridging the gap between the super rich and like clubs like us who are on our own organic sustainability road, right? But to tell the truth, right, in that day, if our academy sucks, our recruitment sucks, right, it still won't help, because we'll still get players that sucks along the way. Right?
Okay, but that's where I want the conversation to go. And Sabra, I'll bring you back in as well. Like, I want the conversation to stop being about, why aren't we spending money? I want it to stop being about Daniel Levy like being tight, or like, why can't we just go and drop 90 million on this player or that player? I want it to be around, if you're going to have a problem with our ownership, and there's more than enough reason to have it, but focus on the more important things, which is about, like what Sav has been talking about, figuring out the youth system. Why can't we get any fucking juice from that lemon? Like, why can't we, essentially like get the juice from the squeeze in everything else? Because we do the financial stuff very well, and that's clear. And I think the gap between the haves and have-nots is going to close. So now we need to pivot and say, why can't we be more like Brighton? Why can't we be more like Brentford? Why can't we be more like
Sean,
Fulham?
Do you know the worry about this, though, is the number of fans that truly believe we've got that in place. That is the worry for me, is that even when every show I'm in, like, I'm reading some of the chat, and it's like, what world are we living in where people are going, Paratici's added really good young players to our academy. Our academy can't win a game for love nor money. None of them make it into the first team, right? We're talking about we're talking about youth players. Look, we bought Brian Hill and Jed Spence. Yeah, two players that Conte doesn't want. Like, what's the plan? We keep. This is what I don't get. We've got fans that truly believe we are putting these things in place. What I'm seeing, and I don't know Eugene's thoughts on this, but what I'm seeing is every window is a mismatch of players. It's players that we're buying that, for me, first of all, you're buying players that don't fit into an ethos or system. Second of all, you're buying players that clearly the manager does not want. Let's be fair. As I said to you, from the summer, how many of them get into the 11? From the 7 we bought in the summer, how many of them are nailed on week in, week out to play out of 7 that we signed?
Well, Basuma should have been, right? And I think that this is, when you reflect on, and this is another, I guess we can pivot into a different conversation a little bit about the idea of was Conte backed? And I know, Saba, you don't really like have as much faith in Conte or care and consideration. Same as me. I don't really care. If he's here and he's happy and he wants to be here and he can do a good job, stay. If not, I don't care.
Yeah, sure, right. Sure.
But the idea of like, was he backed? I think not only is it subjective, it's also rear view looking. And it's based on this concept of, well, did the players work out? If Jed Spence came in and was immediately like an absolute well beater and smashed the results for us down the right hand side, and Doherty and Emerson Royale were like irrelevant thoughts of a previous era because Jed Spence was bang. I don't think that Daniel Levy would get the credit, but I think that the idea of what was Jed Spence signed for, that wouldn't be a conversation. Same with Bissouma.
Sean, that's my point. So from those 7 signings, right, whether he was backed or not, and you know, that's a huge, wide conversation.
Guys, we just come back down.
No, hang on. One sec, Eugene.
Yeah.
The only way I can look at it is if a manager wanted these players, he would play them, right? This is the problem for me, right? So if and look, I'm not using at this stage, I'm not using that to knock Levy. But my point is this: we've got people praising Paratici for what he's doing, but yet the manager isn't playing the players that Paratici's bringing in. That comes back full circle to my point, Sean, that there is no plan and there's no plan, there's no structure. You like, why bring in Bissouma?
But if Bissouma doesn't work, if Bissouma didn't work out, does that necessarily mean if he hasn't trained hard enough, or if he's if he hasn't fitted the system, and Conte isn't playing him, does that necessarily reflect badly on Paratici or Levy, or does it reflect badly on Bissouma?
Why don't we just look beyond all this, right, guys? Right? Basically, our plan and our ethos of our club is to buy players to make money off them.
We don't do that, though. When was the last time we ever did that?
Let me finish. That was our original plan when we started, right? When under Levy and all that, we used to buy the players, we used to sell them off. Bale was one of the big sales, right? And Bale was one of our last.
That was like 2010, 2011? That was 15 years ago.
Bale is our last big sale, right? And from that last big sale, we went on a splash out on 7 players or 8 players or 9 players or how many players we got from the Bale money. And only 1 or 2 worked out, or maybe 1.5. We count Lamela, who's been with us and injured for the 10 years that he was with us, right? That has been the plan. But the problem is that I see is that our owners can't get out of their own mindset, right? When they buy players, they look to buy players for as an investment, not to lose money. You see, if you buy players for the sake of the team to go forward, to win things, right? And forget about the wages, that is a write-off. Forget about the transfer money, that's a write-off, right? And put it aside, and we go for something for glory.
Hang on. In order for the players that you're talking about, if there's this theory that we buy players that are young and that are cheap and that we can sell for more money, and that's the ultimate game. In order for that to materialize, the players have to do something which improves their value.
No, that's what I'm saying. But the problem that with our terrible scouting system, right? It doesn't matter whether Paratici is here or not, whether whoever is here, we will not get the correct players to come in.
So are we on the same page then that the biggest problem at Tottenham Hotspur is not Daniel Levy, it's not Conte, it's our scouting?
No, overall, right? Who put the scouting people?
Yeah, okay, but that's such an easy argument. I get bored of listening to that argument, Eugene. Because you know what, mate? I know. Because like ultimately, dude, they've all got CVs and resumes that are spectacular. Like
it comes back to that word. Pick the word of your choice: strategy, plan, ethos. This is the thing for me. Levy, Paratici, Conte, right? No. You know me, Sean, right? You know me. And I've said it a million times. You know I want the owners out. But I will also say when fair is fair. For me, all 3 of these parties need to sit down together, like men. Sit down. What is it you want versus what is it we can give you, right? I.e., if we cannot give you what you want, and hear me out on this. Let me give you an example. Every time you talk about a centre-back, fans immediately come up with the excuses. I've already seen them in this show. We've got in Longley because it was a stopgap, because in that window we couldn't get who Conte wanted. Okay, great. First of all, there's no guarantee that who Conte wants is going to be available in the next window or the window after that. They could tear their ligaments. Yeah, they could go and sign for Chelsea or Real Madrid, blah, 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 blah. Right? That's not the only footballer out there. So for me, the conversation needs to be moving forward with these 3. Forget what's happened now. The conversation needs to be, Right, Antonio, what do you feel you need to take this club to the next level? I feel I need players of this ilk, this ilk, this ilk. If at that moment, Daniel Levy and Paratici turn around and go, we can't offer that, then that's fine, right? Hear me out. That's fine. Conte shouldn't be here, which has been my point all along. However, if they're not going to give managers those top players they want, then this comes back down to having a director of football and managers for the long term that have a plan and an ethos. And I circle back to this. Of all the players we've signed since Paratici's been here, only 3 of them are regular first team starters. I'm not talking
is
about
that Paratici's fault.
I'm not saying it is. This is what I'm saying, Sean.
I hear you.
The dots are not connected somewhere, because people in the chat I can see going, but we signed Basuma, who's brilliant, and Richarlison's the Brazil number 9, and this player and that player. All right, but Conte doesn't play them. Conte plays them as a last resort. That tells me, that there's been no discussions as to who do you want. Right, I'm not saying Basuma's a bad signing.
What do you really believe that?
No, there cannot be no discussions. There must be discussions.
I mean, Do you really believe, Eugene? Do you believe that what Sava's saying, that there's like that Conte and Paratici and the chief scout, whoever that is, I don't even know who that person is, and Levy or someone that represents Daniel Levy is not sitting down on a weekly basis?
Sean, what if our chief scout is Daniel Levy?
Well, he's not though. He's not though, is he? Let's come on. Let's be.
I'm just saying.
I know you're saying a joke, but like he's not, right?
No,
I'm not even sure that Daniel Levy is the guy that's doing
we come
even the
conversation. We come down to
the
end of this, right? Of course, Daniel Levy will be in the conversation, right? He has always been in the conversation whenever it comes to signing players. We know it. We can't hide it. We have to admit it, right? What I see now is very simple. It goes back to the basics again. When Paul Mitchell left, right, and when Poch started to lose everything, right, that's when our scouting system started to crumble. Remember? When we were having all those good times and all that, that was the beginning of our downfall in our scouting system. So what?
Hang on. Well, wait. So you're giving Paul Mitchell the credit for what?
I'm not giving Paul Mitchell the credit or anything.
You're saying that when he left, everything started to go tits up, right?
It started to go tits up because
when he was around, there was other things that were happening at the same time as that maybe prevented expenditure. I personally agree with you. I think Paul Mitchell was a good, he's gone on to do better things and great things. But my point is, and sorry to interrupt, Eugene, I'll let you have the floor back in 1 second, is that when people hold Daniel Levy's feet to the fire and say, you fucking hired idiots who can't do the job, and then you fired people too late, or you let people go that were too good. Like, at the end of the day, every single one of them, Paul Mitchell, Steve Hitchin, Paratici, Kamoli, Frank Arneson, they all have, when they come into Tottenham, and every single scout will be exactly the same. Every single person that Tottenham Hotspur have employed are not going to be morons that have no resume to speak of. They are all going to have a phenomenal resume and a phenomenal CV that has sat down with whoever's hiring, and they've gone, yep, we're going to give you the chance. And I just feel like it's so unnecessary to say.
Okay, but in the end,
I think it's unfair to call Daniel Levy out all the time for those things.
No, like in the end of the day, there's always been the news that says that even Hitchin brought players for Levy, right? We need this player. Levy didn't want that player because he didn't want to pay the money. We got another player, right? There's so many scenarios that happen. But why does it, in the end of the day, he has the final say of what player he wants? Because in the end of the day,
are you talking about Jack Grealish again? I get bored of this conversation as well. The Jack Grealish conversation. Yeah, I know, but that was under that tenure,
there's
right?
no money. There's Jack Grealish. There's Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, I know. But which Bruno Fernandes are you talking about? The Bruno Fernandes that was brilliant in his first season at Manchester United, or the one that was absolutely awful in his season at Manchester United?
There's so many examples. There's so many examples.
You're hanging on to examples of players that nobody else wanted to pay for.
Right. Sorry. Screening for Roden. You understand that?
I didn't hear either of you.
No, but okay.
Sorry, I'm talking over you. Carry on, mate. Go on,
no,
Eugene.
in the end of the day, we come back to this cycle again. We keep arguing, hey, big up, please say Bentancur for us. Say Bentancur for us, please.
Oh, well, hello. Good morning, everyone. I don't think I've said his name this morning, so it might be a little rusty, but I'll give you a Bentancur just for the one time, Eugene.
Yes, that's nice.
How you doing? I feel like I came in at a pretty nice part of the juicy debate. Was it about Manchester United?
Bruno Fernandes, I think. I don't know.
We're talking about Bruno Fernandes. We're talking about the players that we missed, Jacob. You know, the manager players won, and in the end, the players that managers got.
Listen, were you somebody? I know you're someone that likes to remind me of those ones, the ones that got away. But when you heard that Tottenham had signed Bissouma for £25 million or whatever it was in the summer, everybody, not just Tottenham fans, everybody in English football, TalkSport, BBC, Sky Sports, everybody, every fan from every channel that I know was saying, shit, Tottenham are doing bits. Tottenham are doing things. Daniel Levy got a little bit of a pat on the head, or a pat on the back there. So did Paratici. So did whoever the scouts were. Everyone got a pat on the head. He hasn't worked out, now people are forgetting.
If I may, just talk about that point specifically, because Sean, I feel like you're describing someone like me, because I have a Bissouma kit. I was that excited. I've rated this guy for several years. I felt like every time we played Brighton, he was the main reason we struggled, and so I was very excited to see him come into the team. I also think at that juncture we got Perisic on a free, so we got Perisic on a free, we got Bissouma. The window barely opened, so I think everyone, myself included, I was like, oh, okay, we're really getting to work early, because if we do what we normally do, which is a little bit of business on deadline day and in the weeks leading up to, but if we're this busy early on, it gave me a look of like, okay, maybe we're gonna continue to invest this kind of money. And then we signed Richarlison for 60. So I'm thinking, surely we're getting Bremer. Surely we're getting Phil. You can always have the robe back. It's gonna smell nice. Might smell a little rank, but you know, we like to share the robe, Phil and I.
That's nice.
But this Bissouma thing specifically, I think at that moment, Sean, all the fans were just really happy about how early we were getting business started, and because that's not normally something we do. So I think for me, especially seeing Bissouma, we got Perisic on a free, and then Richarlison, I was like, okay, we got Kane's backup. Bissouma, I thought, would walk into this squad, which he struggled. And so I think it's a little bit of, we all look at this with a little bit of hindsight of, okay, things haven't worked out necessarily, but I don't know that anyone would say, oh, Bissouma, if Conte's gone, Bissouma's still going to be a failure here. I think in a different system with three midfielders, which is what he's used to playing with, I think if we were to play something like that, he would do better. I think we saw that in the Leicester game when we did switch, and it just naturally made him look better.
But for me, right, Sean, to tell the truth, right, like I told you, I'm 40 years a Spurs fan. I've been hit so many times. It doesn't matter who you sign. You could sign Messi. I'll just sit down here and say, okay, let's see what he does. That's my reaction to when we got Bissouma.
He wouldn't
that's
do much
my
right
reaction.
now.
No,
what I've seen. You saw that highlight reel of what he did
what Jacob says is very true. What gave me a bit excited was we were doing our business early, and that wasn't the Levy trend. It was the opposite of the Levy trend. You remember? We always get our players in the last 24 hours of every transfer window, right? So when that happened, I was a bit excited. Okay, I'll give him a chance and see what he does. After 3 weeks of signing those 6-7 players and chasing jet spends all around the world, right? Coming back, we got him, and that's what's it. So, like what Jacob said, I thought we would add more things to our squad, right? And whether Conte is backed or not backed or whatever the story was, to me, in the end of the day, I want to see the players on the pitch. And when they play and how they perform and whether they deliver the goods that they're supposed to. But
do you agree with people like Stuart Austin? See, I don't agree with this in any way, shape, or form. Big up, Stuart, though. Welcome to the channel. I haven't seen you before. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Our rivals laugh at us and people still back Levy and his way. We're a joke club with joke fans. Is this I guess he's Levy out. Obviously, he sounds like he is. Eugene, you're Levy out. Like, I think the point of this show, I guess at the start of it at least, was to go through the finances, and I think that whatever we're getting distracted. It's fine, but the finances to me tell a story that, and the message that's coming from him tell a story that I think we're doing just fine financially. There's a few bits and pieces that are impacting us. Third party, most of the stuff that's impacting us is because of external influence that no one can control. Inflation, the war in Ukraine, the war in Russia, the credit crisis. The COVID-19. All that legacy issues. They're all going to kick the can down the road. But no, I still think that there's millions of questions to be asked about Daniel Levy, but I don't think Daniel Levy is a bad owner. I don't think that we're a joke of a club. I was going to come to Eugene to answer this, but he's disappeared, so I'll come to Saba. Like you're Levy out. Do you agree with Stuart's perspective here? Like, are we a joke of a club with Levy at the helm?
I don't know. We're not a joke of a club, but football fans are tribalistic. Whether it's Tottenham fans, Arsenal fans, Chelsea fans. Any little moment to have a dig at our counterparts, we're going to. That's football fans. It's the same way right now, Sean. I keep saying all these people that are laughing at Liverpool and Chelsea, keep saying, just be careful. Next season they'll probably be above us, both winning things. And all of a sudden we look silly because we were above them for a season. Right? We've seen that in the last 10, 15
Liverpool's just in rebuilding. I guess that's what they're going through.
Yeah. Hang on. Let me reach the point on this, though. So, I get it. Other fans are going to laugh at us because essentially we don't win anything and all of those clubs win stuff. Essentially, that is what's happening. But Sean, I'll come back to what I said to you at the beginning of this. For me, this has never, ever been about, oh my God, we don't spend enough. For me, this is about what is the plan in our spending. I'll come to this.
But can't you find the same idea towards Chelsea? You just said that I personally don't agree with you. I know you think that Chelsea are going to be this monster next season. I personally think that Chelsea are going to be the next Everton. Time will tell. I think the risk is on my side. It's more likely that I'm wrong than you are, given the money that they've spent. But you've got people, someone here, Mikhail Bilicki. Sorry if I've butchered your name there, Michael or Mikhail. He's saying that Kukurea didn't work out at Chelsea. Like, is there a philosophy to Chelsea spend?
But I think what Chelsea are trying to do is I think they're trying to rush through a rebuild in about a year, right?
To get ahead of these new sustainability.
To get ahead of the game. Now the thing is as well is listen. Again, I'm not sticking up for Chelsea. I'm not a Chelsea fan.
No,
but
I know. Yeah.
Chelsea are signing good players, but the problem is they're signing so much in one go. It's never going to go all into place, right? You're talking new owners, new manager, new technical director of football, brand new players all over the pitch. And then fans go, so-and-so hasn't worked out in 5 games. Now, this is similar, I will admit, to like Basuma at Spurs. But the difference is I'm not seeing Basuma even get a chance to settle in. I'm not even, like with the Cucurella argument, let's be fair, Cucurella being bought at Chelsea is to be a rotation option alongside Ben Chilwell, right? A huge difference. He's a rotation option there, right?
Well, or the other argument is that they're spending, and this is where I think that Bowley's missed the trick, is he's buying all these players, and I think the idea is that if they don't work out, that they sell them on in the future and break the amortization issue, and they can make those numbers meet. But when you pay top dollar, like, is Cucurella ever going to be worth 60 million quid in the future?
Yeah, but
not to me. Is Enzo Fernandez ever going to be worth 120 million quid in 5 years' time? I don't think so. Like, they're paying the very highest rates for young players. It's the reverse of what they should be doing.
It is, but again, when we look at this, we're talking about a club that for the last 20 years have been the most decorated club in English football, right? So they're coming at it from a very different perspective, where our fans are coming at the perspective of, in the last 20 years of all the top 7-8 clubs, we're the least decorated club in English football, right? Yeah. Chelsea can spend whatever they want. If they get in trouble, they get in trouble, right? That's not our issue as Spurs fans. If they get in trouble, if they've been found guilty, that's their problem. They'll deal with it. But what I think Chelsea are doing, and let me chuck this as a scenario, right? Every one of our fans that, we had Kulu and Bentancur injured, and it was, oh my God, how can Conte be expected to win a game of football without Bentancur and Kulu, right? Chelsea have just had 11 first-team players out for over a month, right?
Yeah.
plus all their new players coming into their squad.
And they bought another new 11 players in.
It's no surprise they are where they are. You watch when they've got Chilwell fit, Reece James fit, Badiashile and Thiago Silva fit. Yeah, when Enzo Fernandez,
they've been fit for the last. They were fit against Fulham.
No, hang on. No. Reece James played his first game against Fulham. He played one game and got injured. In the last 4 months, he played like one game of football.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah.
Then Chilwell not played for months, right?
Yeah.
Enzo Fernandez, it's his first game, right? João Felix, who's played one game, wait till he's available. Wait till they then get...
maybe another red card.
What's the guy on Kunku?
Oh, my God. I don't want to think about when they get in Kunku. That actually makes me angry.
Right? Look how good all of those players are.
The sum isn't greater than the parts, though.
But
if you have a bunch of really good parts, it's hard to debate that you think that car won't run right.
Is it, though? Is it? I don't know.
In the end of the day, right?
Brighton have got a team that's the sum is greater
Chelsea
than the
dilemma now is very simple.
Hang on, Eugene, hang on 1 second. Yeah, but Sean, but the difference is there, right? We're talking different spectrums here. You're talking about. Imagine this was Spurs.
Well, I didn't say Manchester United right now have got a team that's better than the parts.
Yeah, but hang on. But the problem is we haven't even given Chelsea a chance to make that work, right? You've got a manager who's gone in and has never had his full group of players. He's getting new players chucked at him every week. Here's a new player. He's a new player, right? He's got a squad of about 35 players. They've had to leave people out of the Champions League. What Chelsea need, and this is what my mate is actually my brother-in-law, who's a season to get older at Chelsea. Yeah, I mean, I've married into a Chelsea family, right? My brother-in-law, Sean, who's a Chelsea fan, has turned around and said, look, for me, wait till the summer, wait till all of these new players, wait till all of these new players.
Give them a chance. I get it.
I can have a summer together. Yeah. And in the summer, he said, you're going to see the back of, you've already seen Jorginho go. You're gonna see the back of people like Aubameyang. You're gonna see the back of Pulisic, Ziyech. Yeah. So for all the players they're bringing in, they will slowly shift players out. Look, at the end of the day, we've seen Chelsea and Liverpool and Arsenal, Man U. They've all done this before in the last decade. They've all had amazing seasons, fallen away for a year. We all go, oh, they're dead, they're buried, they're finished. They come back. Right.
I hear what you're saying, mate. I just think that we're celebrating exuberant spend in the presumption.
Who's celebrating it?
I'm not celebrating it.
Sorry, celebrate is the wrong word. Oh, go on, Eugene. You haven't spoken for a while. Go on, mate.
What I'm saying, okay, this Chelsea talk, right? We're not Chelsea fans, right? Whatever they spend, whatever they do is their problem, right? But the only thing is that we come down to this thing. Will the new owners give Potter time? That's all. If the new owners give Potter time, then maybe we'll see an end result. But the thing is that if the results keep coming out shitty for them, right, their fans are going to jump on Potter, and most probably they'll end up with a different kind of manager, maybe an elite manager or whatever to take over, and maybe that will change everything.
The fans won't jump on the owner because the owner spent money that the club doesn't generate.
No, but
they spent 160%. They spent 160%.
They won't jump on the owners. They will jump on the manager.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, this is the problem with fans, right? The fans are going to say, Todd Bowley's the best thing since sliced bread. Look at all the players that they're delivering for us. There's no philosophy. The argument for the first hour of this show has been about the lack of philosophy at Tottenham. And when we say that what happens at Chelsea doesn't affect Tottenham, it does affect Tottenham in as much as it affects the fans' rationale for what is the right way to go about business.
Well, yeah, it pisses you off when the neighbor gets a nice car and y'all make the same amount of money. It's like, damn, that'd be nice if I could.
Even if a nice car is a credit card lifestyle.
Let's say we're all jealous, that's all.
Sean, let me ask you a question then. If we're saying there's no philosophy at Chelsea, let me ask you a question. Look at every player they've just signed in that summer window. What age are they?
Koulibaly was...
sorry, not in... Okay, other than Koulibaly, look at all... other than Koulibaly, right? That was... whatever. Look at all the players.
Under 26, under 27,
Yeah, of course. They're all young. I understand they're all young.
They're all young. João Felix, even on loan, young. Enzo Fernandez, young. Mudryk, young. Fofana, young.
I get it. Right? I hear what you're saying.
So when we're saying there's not a strategy and ethos, I think what they're actually doing is going, hang on, if we're not going to be able to spend all this money forever, we're going to spend loads of money up front. We're going to get lots and lots of young players on these big
160% of the club's entire revenue, not profit, revenue, in their record year of revenue, they have spent in 6 months.
Right.
They are betting the house. They have bet the house.
Sure.
And they've got those players on 6, 7, 8 year contracts to try and.
But they are betting. They're putting a hand down. We don't.
You would be happy. So would you be happy? Because I look at what the Chelsea.
We're not even on the table to bet.
You guys might not care about the long term sustainability.
Sean,
I do.
Sean, it's context. It's context. Right? It's like when I was talking about Brighton earlier, and everyone jumps on and goes, "Oh, if we were Brighton." No, it's not about us being Brighton. It's not about us being Chelsea. The point is this: if Chelsea get in trouble, that's something we can all speculate. None of us know, right? If they get in trouble, they get in trouble. They'll get out of it, right? Of course they will. They're Chelsea. They've got the money. All I know is what you're seeing there is an owner who's come in and gone, right, I want my own manager, right? I want my own technical director of football. I want all my own staff, right? And he's made all that happen in his first 3 or 4 months. He's whacked loads of money down in the summer, loads of money down in this window.
Not his own money, by the way.
Okay, but hang on, that's not what we're talking about. The point is Chelsea have whacked down the money. Forget whose it is, right?
Okay.
Now, if only what a few of my mates said to me, Chelsea fans, if he gets rid of Potter very soon, that will already be an admission that his plan hasn't worked.
Well, he bought the first 7 of those players for Tuchel.
Right, yeah, but hang on, Sean. Okay, but
is that already an admission that didn't work out? The first phase of the plan didn't work out.
Yeah, but Tuchel's not his manager. Tuchel is not his manager, right? No chairman. I see many chairmen that are going to join and immediately go, right, you're sacked, right? When they got Champions League football, I don't think many people are going to do that. But listen. At the end of the day, I'm not a Chelsea fan, right? I'm not backing them. But what I would say is, if I look at what Chelsea are doing and what Spurs are doing, right? And again, looking beyond one season, looking beyond the right now, I would be more excited as to where Chelsea are going to be in the next 1, 2, 3 years than Tottenham, who are very much relying on the older players to see us through, right? We don't have those young, exciting players to build a team around, in my opinion.
I know. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. I'll bring Elias in now. Before I do, though, just for what it's worth, I'd rather... The reason why, as much as it kills me to say it, that I have so much respect for Arsenal is because when they went on that Arsene Wenger period, when they were so successful, they had done it the organic way. And Manchester United have always tried to. I know they generate revenue streams that are just insane, but they did their success through the 90s the organic way through their youth system. There's so much more respect that the average football fan should have for the way that certain teams go about their business. And teams like Manchester City and Chelsea, I don't think the average fan respects the trophy, even if you acknowledge the trophies and say, well, we don't have them, so that's a problem. I still think that Manchester City and Chelsea are doing it the wrong way. And look, Manchester City now, I can't wait. I really hope.
Who's done it the right way? Who's done it the right way?
I think Arsenal did the right way in the 90s and the noughties. And I think Manchester United did it the right way in the 90s and the noughties. And I think Liverpool did it the right way in a few years ago. But they go through their own transitions.
But Sean, what's the point? So the 3 clubs you just mentioned, 2 of those clubs were nearly 25 years ago. Right.
Yeah, but okay. But that's the thing. So for me, I don't think the problem is Daniel Levy or the ownership at Tottenham Hotspur. I don't think it's the director of football. I don't think it's the scouting problem. I think the problem that the main people the biggest gripe for people that are, quote unquote, Levy out. I think the biggest gripe is based on the lack of trophies, and I think that the major reason why that has occurred, and this is what is coming out in the wash as you speak, is because the teams that have won the majority of those trophies have either always been better than Tottenham, always been more successful than Tottenham. Tottenham are not as successful a team as people make out that we always have been. But in reality, Arsenal, Liverpool and United have always been more successful than Tottenham. And the other 2 teams that have taken up 45% of all of the trophies that were winnable in the domestic competitions under Daniel Levy's tenure, 45% of them were won by 2 teams that have cheated to get there.
As I said to you, though, right? This is the argument. If you go
down,
Elias,
I'll bring you in a second. Go on.
I've stated many times on this show alone, For me, this isn't just about trophies. This is about 22 years, still no ethos at the club, still no direction, still no academy.
And that's fine.
Right?
Yeah, I agree with
this
that.
isn't just the fact that, oh my God, we haven't won trophies. But
to a lot of people, it is. To a lot of fans, it is. Right?
I get it. Do I want to win trophies? Yeah, of course. Right. But where I agree with you on stuff, Sean. Sorry, Elias. I'm sorry. Just last point. Where I do agree with you, Sean, is, and I've said this before, is everyone wants to praise Poch, for example, for how great Poch was. Poch was the best manager happened to this club. Poch. But how many times did Poch fail to get over the line in a final? Right? How many? So for me, I don't blame Nick for some of those trophies. I don't blame them for some of that. But what I do blame them is that 22 years later, everything off the pitch looks brilliant. Everything, the structure, the strategy, the planning on the pitch, youth team, transfer strategy just looks made up from window to window to window.
Yeah. Okay. Now listen, me and you, Sava, can go back and forth on this all day long, every day. It seems like. But listen, there's 3 other people on here, and I want to bring in Elias. I'm going to let Elias come up, mate. Welcome to the show, by the way. I think it's your debut, so congratulations for coming on. Appreciate that. And then also I want to bring obviously Jacob back in as well. He hasn't had a chance, and I think Eugene's tried to make some points, but kept getting interrupted by me. So I apologise for you as well, Eugene. I'll start with Elias, and then I'll let Jacob come back, and then Eugene after that, and then Saba. I'm going to sit back and listen for a second and handle the comments. So Elias, what do you want to say, my man?
No, I was just actually curious when you say that the teams that have done that organic process, they've always been actually better than Tottenham. I mean, when you say always, like, are you saying like last 30 years, 40 years, 50 years? Because, I mean, City was never better than us.
I wasn't talking about the City. I was talking about Arsenal, Liverpool, and Manchester United. They're the 3 teams that have consistently been more successful than us in the last 20 years, that have done it organically, or give or take organically. And the other 2 teams, well, Leicester have only won 1 more trophy, and they were a flash in the pan. So I think that's an anomaly, not the rule. Yeah, they won 2 trophies in 2 seasons, but like we won 1 as well. So they've won 1 more trophy than us in that period. But I don't think that's something to look forward to, because I think Leicester are on the decline, as I said they were going to be. But the 3 teams, Arsenal, Liverpool, and United, that have done it without necessarily breaking the bank, without having sugar daddy ownership to that extent, they've always been more successful than Tottenham all the way back. And the other 2 teams that have done it more frequently, more recently, are sugar daddy ownership. And that's what my point is.
I just want to ask, actually, Manchester United, I think they have had a very sugar daddy ownership. It's just that they haven't spent their money wisely. Like, if you look at the last 10 years or so, they have been the kind of team that has been going out and spending. But even in Manchester United, their strategy, you see some form of an idea, and that's why I think they've sustained it quite well still. Like, they hardly have slipped down. I mean, they have gone to Europa League a few times, but even then, you at least see some form of strategy. Currently, the problem with us is we don't see any strategy. Like, where are we headed right now? What's your strategy? Is it that you are trying to? We don't have players to beat Bayern. Exactly. Yeah, you don't have players to beat these kind of clubs. Like, maybe by chance you can actually go into Champions League, and then if Real has few players out, then yes, you can. But at the moment, actually, you don't see any form of a clarity or any form of let's say the football associated with Tottenham right now, that you can say that, okay, the players that we are buying is for that specific type of football. I think that's the problem that we are kind of trying to address here at Tottenham. And we have been failing actually as a club over the few years, even to address that. Like, what do we want in our transfers? Because currently our transfer windows are always all over the place to me. Like, where are we headed? Like this Danjuma deal, I'm not that impressed with it. I mean, some people say that.
Who? Danjuma?
Yeah, I'm not that impressed with that deal, actually. Like, I understand that, yes, Brian Hill was going out and all that, and they need to settle that and stuff like that. But I feel that he's pretty bang average player, to be honest.
Well, we haven't really seen him in a Tottenham shirt. I think like you can make a judgment of a player before Tottenham times, but we've only seen him for 30 minutes, and he scored a goal on his debut. So I think that as of right now, his goals per minutes played ratio is better than anybody else in the history of Tottenham Hotspur. So let's give the guy a chance there, shall we?
Yeah, I still think the jury's out when it comes to Danjuma personally. I think it's actually good business. I know it's not a player we were all wanting or was necessarily at the top of the list, but when you look at the structure of the way this club operates, whether we agree with it or not, the fact that we got a player in and they did a business to where it's comfortable for whoever the hell's signing the check at the end of the day, I think that speaks something. And it's a better asset off the bench than Lucas Moura, than Brian Hill, and that you can already see. He scored in his debut. I'm not trying to hype up the guy too much, but I do think it's a little bit of, you don't know what a guy can offer until you really watch him with your club, with your players. Yeah, we saw him at Villarreal play on the left. I don't know that necessarily he's going to come in and play on the left for us. I could see him playing on the right, or down the middle if Richarlison can never get over his damn thigh injury, whatever's going on there. So I don't know. Elias, I think the jury's still out when it comes to Danjuma, but that's good business. A loan with an option to buy, not an obligation, not no option. It's better than a Longley deal, right? Longley was not the guy we wanted. Longley was a guy that's just coming in as a stopgap, like you said, Sava. So at the end of the day, I think it's a better deal than the Longley one because it's still at least, if Longley was to work out, I would like the option to buy. I know we can always revisit that, but, someone could also have the chance to scoop him up. I would like the chance if he succeeds with us,
Do you
that
like
we should
Longley,
reward.
Jacob?
You know what? Davies put in a hell of a shift for City. I think it's a coin flip who can start that left center back position. Neither one are the one I want.
Yeah,
but
of course, yeah.
I guess it just depends who looks better in training that week. Start that fucker because Ben Davies.
For me, I think it comes down to like the profile of the team you're playing against. If you're playing against Manchester City, you probably want Emerson Royale over Porro. You probably want Davies over Longley because we've seen how many times Longley can get brutalized
poorly
and pulled on, right? Whereas you're playing against Southampton in a couple of weeks' time, you probably want Longley and you probably want Porro. I feel like there's horses for courses. Longley's by far better than Davies' ball at feet, right? But that game, how often
I like Longley's frame, and I thought for a good minute there, before I think the first City game, I thought he was our most consistent defender. Now I think Romero comes a little bit more into that conversation. I guess Dyer, you have to throw him in there, but it's just we play this musical chairs at the back three, and it's at what point are we ever going to get it right if we're constantly changing it? Yan and Toby work so well together. They've been playing together since they were fucking kids. So it's like, of course they're going to play really well together. They're going to be on the same page. They're going to be on the same line. I think it's a little bit of that when it comes to who should start the left center back, because for me, Davies, I think he offers a little bit more pace and agility, whereas Longley, he can hit those long balls. Davies can too sometimes. I mean, I was looking at the damn I've been bashing Davies, so I wanted to backtrack a little bit on that because after watching the Harry Kane, 260 odd goals, Davies was crossing in a lot of those. So it's like at some point he can do the job.
I think Davies is like a solid 6.5 solid 7. He's like the guy who's like, if
I think he'll give you a 4 to a 6.
He's never
sometimes 6, sometimes 4.
Yeah, but I don't think he gets a 4. I think he's the sort. If you're looking for a night out and you want like decent numbers on your night out, going out with the boys for the beers, he's not going to be the first person that you call because he's not going to be the guy that pulls the girls or makes you laugh or like is the chief banter. But he's solid.
A good driver.
He's a solid. He's just He's not a designated driver, you bastard.
Hey Ben, we've been drinking too much. Come scoop me, bro.
No, to come back to the thing about the money and all that, right? But we all have to face the reality of football now. We can't escape, right, that money has been poured into the game, and it has reached a certain stage where it is what it is, right? Whether it's the sugar daddy is going to support the club or whether we're going to build it organically, right? In that day, we just have to face, right, what's in front of us, and we have to go for it and try our best to do what we can do at our best.
But
and at the moment,
you want a sugar daddy to come in now, like looking at what the
Sean, I've always been saying it. I don't want a sugar daddy. I've always been saying this. I want the fans to be owned back. I want the clubs to be owned back by the fans. Right?
If you're doing that in a league where everybody else is owned by trillionaires, then forget about it. Decentralized fan bases will never work unless every other team in that club has got a similar
fair,
thing.
Because I keep
Forget about
saying, right, football clubs have become so big, right? It's like a country on its own at the moment, right? Whatever you spend on a club, whatever you do, whether you're overseas, whether you're home ground, right? It's all about money spent. Like, of course, I'm in Malaysia, right? I have to pay cable to watch Spurs play, right? I have to wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning just to watch Spurs play, right?
Yeah.
The sacrifices everyone has to put, whether it's in a monetary form or whether it's in what spiritual form or whatever you put it into it. But at the moment now, money has gone into the game. That is one thing we can't escape, right? To tell the truth, the Premier League now is turning into Formula One. Simple as that. If you guys watch Formula One,
but
right?
Hopefully not for much longer, though. This is the thing. This is the point. The takeaway that I've got is that hopefully over the next 2 years,
that is the smoke screen that's always been played. It will always be like that.
I mean, it hasn't been played before. It absolutely has not been played before.
When big money, when it's so big until right, it seeps into something, right? It will never change because the people up there, right, think that they're righteous, right, are the most corrupt. Simple as that. While the more righteous,
I agree with you on that.
While the more righteous you pretend to be, while the more things you preach that you are going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going like FFP.
Will you change your tune then if Manchester City get relegated? Will that change your mind on that?
No, it doesn't.
Why
it
not?
Doesn't change.
Why?
Because you know why? Manchester City will get relegated, right? Then they will spend money again, right? And they'll climb back up again, right? And they'll win shit again. And we'll still be
they won't be able to. That's the thing. That's what you're missing. Like I think that your heart is speaking more than your head. If they get relegated for the previous things, they're going to go down, and by the time they come back up, the rules will have changed around 70% maximum spend of your overall revenues, and they will have a microscope over there. Listen to what I'm saying, man. Let me finish the point, mate, because you're not listening to me. If you're just interrupting me, you're not listening, right? If Manchester City get expelled from the league because of their financial misdemeanors or misgivings or misrepresentation of the truth, based on falsifying costs and based on falsifying sponsorships, they'll get kicked out of the league. By the time they get back up, first of all, half their team will have gone. And then they'll have to adapt to the 2025 financial sustainability rules. And when that happens, they also won't be able to just go and get someone else from some random betting company that doesn't even exist to sponsor them.
Remember that they will have to they will have to follow all the sustainability rules, right? Yeah. There's always ways around these rules, right?
Exactly.
Simple as that. There's always ways around
Manchester City thought there were ways around it, and they've just been charged with 100 offences.
Can I just come in on this Man City point, if that's all right? First of all, I'd love to see Erling Haaland in the Championship. I think that would be, that would be amazing.
Can you imagine?
The Championship.
150 Championship goals. Look, on a serious note, I truly believe that I think we're all going way overboard about Man City. I genuinely believe that of those 100 things, I reckon once it's all done, once they've given their evidence, once they've done this, once they've done that, it will whittle down and it will be something like a £5 million fine or a 3 point.
That didn't happen to Juventus.
Hang on. Juventus is very different to what's happening at Man City.
It's not different.
Hang on,
different mechanisms to achieve the same thing.
Hang on. The way that it's been portrayed, what I was reading about the other day,
didn't see that, mate.
Is that Man City issues are more to do with the fact that they hadn't provided evidence in time rather than actually doing multiple things wrong. So I think what will happen, listen, I guarantee you, I'll have a bet of you. I guarantee you, Man City will get no more than a monetary fine, which is like you giving me a fine of £5 right now.
Okay,
right?
I'll have a 50 quid bet with you on that.
Right,
we'll put it towards your Heart Foundation.
Tattoo.
If somebody comes to me right now and says, "Oh, I've got to fine you a £5," you go, oh, "What? Yeah, okay, go on, whatever." Man City will get a monetary fine, which will be peanuts to them, 5 million, 10 million, whatever, or something like 3 points. They're not going to be relegated. They're not going to get a great big 15, 16, 17 point deduction like Juventus did. I think everyone's just going, I think more, like you said just now, more hope than reality or whatever it was. I think that's what so many football fans are thinking right now. So many football fans are praying Man City get their pants pulled down over this.
Hell yeah.
It will
Hell
not.
yeah, and we rate them
First of all,
too. I
yeah.
want to rate them a
First
little
of all,
bit.
100%.
Juventus was
Sean, I gotta
relegated
go
from
though. Big up. Thanks for having me on. Big up, Sava,
Love you,
Eugene,
Jacob.
Elias, Soren. If y'all ain't doing anything later,
Wait. Sorry, Jacob. Let me get your channel up. What's happening this evening?
Appreciate it. This evening, 10:30 UK time, or 10:45 rather, UK time, 3:45 here on the mountain side of things. We have the Friday show. Got David Harris from Irish Hotspur. He's going to be joining us. We just hit over 800 subs on the channel, so we're on the road to 1K. If anyone hasn't subbed, please do sub. That would go a long way. Hit a like on the videos if you can. Just help that algorithm out. But yeah, exciting things happening. Not just with Tottenham, but big ups. Thanks for having me. And yeah, there's a show every Friday on that channel. You can catch us there. So Sava, we still need you to make your debut. Sean, you've made two consecutive appearances. So.
I will. I'm going to be honest. I do want to go and get drunk tonight, but I will make my debut soon if that's right.
Yeah.
Sava, just do what I do. Just get drunk on the stream and make a complete dick out of yourself. That's what I do all the time.
That's not me in trouble before personally, isn't it?
Don't do that.
Big up though. Sava, I'll hit you up on WhatsApp or whatever. I'll get your numbers and I'll hit you up there. Big up everybody. Have a good rest of your day.
Take care, mate. Please get over there and smash Jacob's channel. The link is in the description. Before we cack back on and bring Soren in as well, there's a super chat here from Adrian Cheer. Big up, Adrian. I hope you're well, my man. He says all clubs have hits and misses in the transfer market. Key lies in what time frame is set before dumping those that don't make the cut. Also, top teams sell their best players too. I 100% agree with you, mate. I think Tottenham have got a horrible record of keeping on to hang on to their players too long that don't work out. Just before I hand back to whoever was next in the queue, I feel like, Soren, how you doing, mate? I feel like I do think that Manchester City, Sava, if that 50 quid bet, if you want to have it, happy to put the. I think that Manchester City whenever we have to. I don't know what the timeline is, but there'll be at some point an announcement of the outcome, and whenever that is, I think it could happen maybe in the summer. I don't think it'll happen this year, but I think that you will find that they are either have a significant points deduction or they are relegated, similar to what happened and what is happening to Juventus.
They won't relegate them. They're not going to relegate them from the Premier League.
Come on, guys, you're just being deluded about Man City. All right, Sean, to tell you the truth.
Hold up. I don't think that's. Whoa! Don't just dismiss my point like that. Who's being deluded? Who's being deluded?
A lot of people in the chats, right, and a lot of people around in the fan base in the other clubs, right, are all just being deluded that M City is going to get smacked and this and all that. But what I'm saying now is that what happened to Juventus is very simple, right? They were kicked out of Serie A because of match fixing.
No, in 2008 they were, but this season they've already faced a 50. Hang on, they've already faced a 15-point dededuction for doing for one set of breaches. One set of breaches that were related to inflating the transfer fees. Yeah. The next thing that's on their list is paying players under the table, which is exactly the same. It's a different mechanism, but it's exactly the same end goal achievement methodology, which is to lower the cost structure, which is what Manchester City were accused of doing in 2010, 12, and 14. So to say that they are not the same is ignorant.
Okay, and that's in the Serie A. Okay, that's in the Serie A.
Yeah, okay. And Juventus is the biggest club in Italy. What's the difference?
No, that's in the Serie A. This is the Premier League. That's the difference.
The rules are the same. You wait for rules. What's the difference?
We don't know. I mean, I think the headline against Man City is more sensational than it is accurate. If I'm really, really honest, listen. If they get sanctioned, cool. I don't care. I don't support Man City.
Yeah, I don't.
But I know how the Premier League works. You know how Man City are going to work. You know their lawyers are going to find loophole after loophole after loophole. This thing will drag on for years and years and years, within which time they will still continue to buy players, continue to win leagues, cups. I don't think it's going to be this sensational downfall that everyone is praying it will be.
I think it will be. I think it will be because I think the Premier League are worried about the European Super League and they want to rein people in and say we're in control, UEFA's in control. I think that there's other factors that are part of this. There's a reason why this is all happening at the same time. There's a reason why Juventus happened in December and January. There's a reason why Man City are happening now. I wouldn't be surprised if Paris happened in March or April. I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea happened next season. I think that this is all part of a concerted effort because they're terrified of. Chelsea had a $1.5 billion debt.
Yeah,
that was under Abramovich,
right?
And he wrote it off when they sold the club.
Yeah,
the club was put into it. The funds that came from the sale was put into a trust,
right?
That was going to go to the victims of war in the Ukraine. There's no acknowledgement of any debt on those books, which means that there was no debt paid off by Todd Boehly, which means that they were operating under a precursor, a concept over the previous years under Abramovich, where they could get around FFP and the spend that they had because it was under cash injection and debt owned to the owner by the club. But then that debt was just written off. You can't do that and still be within FFP. So
I don't think Chelsea are going to get in trouble either.
No, there's no suggestion or allegation right now that they are. I'm just saying from my perspective, and I'm saying that Chelsea probably won't be, but if what I understand the rules to be true, I think they should be, because Todd Boehly is now benefiting from coming in to a club that has no debt associated and can then spend the amount of money that they have early doors, which they couldn't do.
Didn't the guy chuck in like £3.5 billion to buy it?
Who?
Like, when we say benefiting, hasn't he spent like 2.5 billion to buy the club?
Yeah, he bought the club at a value that was agreed. Yeah, by third parties.
I mean, we're saying as though he's picked it up on a free, and all this debt has been written off. I don't feel like he's not been given this. He's had to spend £3.5 billion or whatever it was to buy the club.
For sure. But all I'm saying is that if he bought the club with the debt and paid the debt off as part of the purchase, if he paid £3.5 billion.
Maybe
and then he paid off the debt to wipe the debt away, that would have been $5 billion. Or if he actually paid $2 billion, but it cost him $3.5 billion to wipe off the debt that was owed to Abramovich, then that would have been the $3.5 billion. But that would have been acknowledged on in the detail of the deal, because the deal was then structured. It didn't go to Abramovich. The money went to the Ukrainian fund for the victims of war fund that was going to get paid out, which is the whole reason why Abramovich walked away and got to keep his ships and got to keep all that shit. Otherwise, all of his assets were going to get seized by the UK government. And the fact that none of that stuff was recognized or acknowledged on any of the paperwork of any of the deal means that, as far as I understand it, it means that
it hasn't happened, or is this just?
As far you can Google what the debt was written off. You can Google it and you'll see BBC, the Times, the Telegraph, everyone saying Abramovich forewent a $1.5 billion debt on the club.
I get the feeling when most people are talking about Chelsea not getting away with, need to be investigated. I don't think that's what they're talking about. I think that everyone's talking about the amount of money they spent in 2 windows. I think that's
that's now, right? But and of course, but what I'm saying is that what they're able to do now, they have 3 years to make right, to get within the rules within 3 years. That's the benefit of FFP. It's a lagging indicator. So you can spend as much money as you want now, as long as that by the time 3 years goes around that you're within the certain rules. However, what I'm saying is that the reason why Todd Boehly could do that is because when you take over a club and the club isn't representing any losses or any debts,
sure, understood.
Then you can come in and spend that money. And the fact that they are doing that is because there was no debt that was acknowledged on the club. And if there had been, then they couldn't do it. And if there was debt on the club, if there was no debt ever on the club, then Chelsea couldn't have operated the way they were operating for the previous 10 years under Abramovich's reign. At some point, somewhere, there is $1.5 billion worth of spend that shouldn't have been allowed to happen.
These owners are going to take the brunt for what previous owners have done.
I agree. That's what I said earlier. I think that it's difficult to hold the new owner accountable for the previous owner. So I think that they might get away with it. It doesn't mean that they haven't cheated the system, though.
I think you used the analogy with me the other day, if I'm not wrong, Sean. I think it might have been you. I think it was you who said, it's like if I buy my house and then the police dig up a dead body in the back garden.
Yeah, exactly.
And then am I going to get in trouble for hiding?
Yeah, are you on the murder charge? Exactly. So I think that Chelsea will get away with it. I think there should be an investigation, but I think that Chelsea will get away with it because of the politics that were at play. And obviously there's larger politics at play with the Chelsea situation than just the Premier League. So I'm not saying that Chelsea will get in trouble, but my point about when I mentioned the house and the murder charge thing is when you're reflecting on Tottenham's lack of trophies, you're looking at what I consider to be two teams that have cheated their way to the top. There's two Lance Armstrongs in that industry, and Tottenham have done it the right way, and people hold that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So we're saying for 20 years, Chelsea. Hang on. For 20 years, Chelsea are the most decorated club in English football. The last 20 years.
Well, no,
right?
over the 21 years of Daniel Levy, the last 14 years of it were under Manchester City were part of that story, right? And Manchester City's deeds were from 2000, misdeeds apparently were from 2008. I know, but Chelsea's ownership started. I'm not sure where Abramovich came in 2005, 2006,
2001, wasn't it? Or
2001. It was a long time ago.
I don't know.
Right. So at some point, but they got ahead of FFP. So they weren't breaking the rules, but they were spending money that the club didn't make.
Yeah, but okay, so fair enough. But what I'm saying is, we're saying for the last 20 years, when we're saying Spurs didn't win trophies because these teams have been doing it illegally, for the last 20 years, when Chelsea have won multiple Premier Leagues, Champions League, Europa Leagues, FA Cups, League Cups, Super Cups, we're saying that every one of those was won illegally.
No. I'm not even saying Chelsea have done anything illegal. I'm just saying that the dice
does that add to why we're not winning trophies?
Well, the Manchester City period certainly is. Right, the Manchester City is, and they've won like 23, 22 trophies in the last 12 years.
Have other teams? Here's my question: have other teams won trophies during the Man City period?
What apart from the three teams? That's the point I was making. Apart from the three teams that have always been more successful than Tottenham, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Manchester United, you've got Chelsea and Manchester City, and apart from that, you have 9 other trophies that have been won in the last 21 years. 7 of them have won one. 7 teams have won one trophy once, Tottenham being one of them. Then you've got teams like Birmingham, Swansea, Portsmouth, Wigan, Middlesbrough in that bracket. And then you've got Leicester that have won 2. And every other trophy, 90% of all trophies that have been won under Daniel Levy's tenure has been won by 5 teams, 2 of which, in my opinion, have cheated. And the other 3 have always been more successful than Tottenham. So when people hold the feet to the fire and say the main reason I hate Daniel Levy is because we don't win enough trophies, I say the dice were loaded, the table had a lean, the game was rigged in a not insignificant period of that time, and that's why I'm saying don't change your mind, but open your mind up to a process.
One last question for me before you bring Soren in. Sorry, one last question for me. So all the times that we were in the Europa League, and Man City and Chelsea and Man United and Liverpool weren't in it, why couldn't we have won one of those?
What in the 1 month, 1 year period when they were going through their personal rebuilds?
No. In the years when they were in the Champions League and we weren't.
I'll answer that one because our managers at the time didn't want to win it. They weren't bothered about being in them competitions.
Said who? That's a fallacy.
What competition?
You look at the teams that we fielded. That tells you the fact that we weren't that interested in winning it.
Are you kidding me? I remember getting knocked out to, was it Genk or somebody? And I remember we had a full strength team out. I remember getting knocked out to Seville, getting knocked out to this team, to that team. I'm sorry. I hear this is the reason why Poch didn't want to win League Cups and FA Cups. But when you actually look at the teams he fielded, they were full strength teams with some stupid tactical changes in there.
Yeah, so therefore the tactical changes were saying that he wasn't quite as pushing to win. Come on, so I mean, we say we haven't won. We got to 6 finals in these tenure. We could have had 6 trophies, but we didn't. We made stupid tactical changes. Well, that's not Daniel Levy's fault. That's the manager at the time's fault.
No, hang on. I never once said in this argument Daniel Levy's name.
No, I know you didn't. But what I'm saying,
Levy's tenure.
This is the whole argument, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but
we haven't won trophies.
When we're saying that all the trophies that have been won in the last 21, 22 years since Daniel Levy's been here, right? There's been multiple trophies where we're in for contention that the cities and the Chelseas aren't even in the bloody competition that have been won by clubs like didn't Middlesbrough or Fulham win a Europa League or whatever it was? Didn't Seville won 4 in a row?
And
Seville
like I say,
won 4 in a row, right?
if you go,
it's on like European trophies now.
Any trophy,
any trophy. I mean, if you go through those competitions, you can see where we've basically lost them because we fielded weaker teams than we should have done. If we were that intention, if we wanted to win, we could have probably gone on and won some of those trophies. But
give me an example.
An example? Well, look at the Conference League. I mean, as stupid as it is and as worthless as it is, we didn't field the strongest team ever.
We did. I can pull up the lineup for the NS Mura game and I can show you Harry Kane, Højbjerg, Skate, Dyer, all of those players, they were inside that particular game and we lost it.
There was other games in the Conference League though where we sent the B team, the A team stayed at home, if you remember.
Even that was one game only. I think that only the B team went. That was just the one game. I think we lost 1-0. That was against Vitesse. The other game as well, when we played against Rennes, I think we fielded the strong team. Then we had a draw as well in that game as well. So it's not the right argument when you say that we didn't field our best team. We did field our best team.
Either way, I still don't think that's Daniel Levy's fault. You know, I still don't think. I think that when you at some point you have to like. This argument right now, and not to change the subject at all, but there has been throughout the entire winter period, there has been this argument around backing. What does was Conte backed? Was he not backed? Was he backed? And there's this disagreement. I keep referencing my personal opinion is that the idea of was he backed? Listen to the verbiage. It's backed. It's hindsight. It's Harry hindsight viewing. You're looking through the mirror, and it's based on whether or not those players worked out. Had Tottenham been top of the table in December and Bissouma had been playing and Jed Spence had hit the ground running and Longley was a masterclass and Perisic had scored 10 goals and Richarlison had scored 10 goals, no one would even be having the conversation around whether or not he was backed. The conversation of whether he was backed only comes up when Tottenham disappoint. It's a natural conversation when things aren't working out. And to me, I think that you have to stop because that whole idea is, well, it's not working out. Therefore, let's reflect on whether he was backed. Clearly, he wasn't backed because it's not working out. For me, I think you have to have a forward view towards being backed. You have to say right now, what do we need in the summer, whether it's for Conte or somebody else? What do you want? What does being backed constitute to you now? Not wait until the players figure it out if they're good or bad or injured or shit or they hit the ground running. Like, what do you want now? And in the summer, if you sign 2 centre-backs, if that's what it takes for you to consider that's what being backed means, or a goalkeeper, and is it the amount of money spent? Is it net spend? Is it positions? Is it specific players? Whatever it is, say it now. Write it down, document it, and then if at the end of the window we sign those players, then he was backed. Whether or not those players work out or not, that shouldn't affect whether he was backed. He should be backed in principle, not in process.
You know, I agree with you on this particular argument. You know I do, because the worst thing for me is, as you saw on my channels all summer, and Soren, you were on my channels every Friday afternoon, and I was sitting there saying to people, I think it's been a shocking window. I don't think forget the words it backed. I just thought it was a shocking window. People coming in, going, amazing window, blah, blah, blah. Then all of a sudden, it was the moment when we weren't doing well. The same fans that were telling me that we were leaving Arsenal in our rearview mirror, the same fans telling me that Newcastle and Man United were nowhere near as good as us, were now backing Conte by saying it's not Conte's fault. Conte's not being given any of the players. For me, I wish fans would stick to a consistent opinion. What I will say is this, though. When we talk about backed, right, that has so many strings to it, Sean. For me, it's this. Backed for what? Was Conte backed to win a Premier League title? No. Has Conte been backed to finish top 4? I think absolutely yes. When I look at the fact you've got Kane and Son, Kulu, Bentancur, Kulusevski, right? That firepower alone is better than most of the teams in this league. So do I think he's been back for top 4? Yes. If we don't get top 4, do I see it as failure? Absolutely, I see it as Conte's failure if we don't get top 4.
Perfect. Okay.
But has he been backed to go further than top 4? No. So people need to determine, what does that mean?
100%. 100%.
I mean, the thing is with that, though, what you've got to look at is Was the intention when Conte first signed ever to win the league in the first season? No, I don't think we certainly did. The intention, and the club have stated it several times now, is that we must constantly get that top 4 finish. And I mean, I know we've had the chance on, don't start shooting me down when I say this bit, but once we start getting
I'll shoot you down whenever the fuck I want, Soren. End of story,
shut
bro.
up. Once we've got them top 4 finishes under Conte, then you probably will hopefully see the push on then. But we've before Conte came in, we've got a team where we've all got to kind of admit we're not title contenders. We're lucky to be getting top 4. Now he's got us top 4. Hopefully we'll get top 4 again this season. And the rebuild should hopefully start to get better players in now. And then if we get these defenders in summer, which we're supposedly being told we are getting 2 defenders and a goalkeeper, then transfer windows after that should hopefully be upgrading everything else that we've got that needs to be done. And we've got a solid foundation then, hopefully. But, last season we were all sitting there saying, what do we think of the transfer window? Blah, 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 blah. What you've got to kind of look at is, and Conte's come out and said it, and we know Pochettino said it, that they're not managers of our club. They are head coaches, which is a different, when you've got a director of football in there, then who is picking the players? It's probably not the manager, but there's got to be a conversation there where the director of football says, these are the players that we're looking at. Are you happy with them, or is there any you don't want? And if any of the managers, whoever it is, come out and say, I'm happy with them, then in theory, they've been backed.
I got something to add on here, actually. When you say that part, that yes, Conte has been backed to win the top, to get to the top 4, I agree with that. Yes, Daniel Levy, being the kind of person he is, he would actually definitely back Conte for the top 4 position. However, we need to understand that as well. Daniel Levy would only back Conte with his narrow-mindedness that yes, the squad and the players that he'll buy, that they can actually get top 4. Now you need to look at the other end as well. When teams like Arsenal, Chelsea, City, Manchester United, the way they are doing their buying, they all want to win the league. They are not just buying the players to just get in the top 4. When you are competing against a mentality of just finishing in top 4, and then one side you have 4 or 5 other teams, even Newcastle as well now, I think. They are the kind of teams who want to finish as the league leaders. Who's gonna end up? So are you in the end gonna get top 4 easily? No way. You're definitely gonna struggle with it. Even if you have been back to get top 4, if your opponents or your rivals, they have the mentality to finish as the league leaders, there's no way you are actually even got to the top 4. You have 5 competitors who are actually doing better than you. It's like yeah, I want to get 5th, and you are just fighting a race to get 5th. Whereas everybody else in your team has the motivation to go and win it. Definitely, you're gonna lose the race if you put it as a simple track race terms. It is that way. I mean,
but you say Arsenal didn't build to win the league. Well, yeah, it's still the 3rd season on before they've started to show that they could do it. Conte's only been here for less than 18 months, so he's a season and a half behind where Arsenal are now. So what's to say that in 18 months? That we might not be where Arsenal is.
Okay,
probably won't be, but
let's just take it now this way. When we were actually in the Champions League and Arsenal didn't qualify for the Champions League, we were the ones saying that, oh, Conte has done so well. He's the class manager. I think most of the fan base was saying this, that Conte is a class manager. We are ahead of Arsenal in that rebuild. We are doing well. And now those are the same fans are saying that, okay, Arsenal, Arteta has had 3 years and all of that. If you actually talk to Arsenal fans, there are still Arsenal fans who actually still don't want Arteta still, to be honest with you. But
that's just the stubborn ones that are like desperate to keep their opinion intact.
Elias, whichever one you prefer.
Elias,
Elias. Nail on the head, my friend. I'm so fed up now with the same people. It's every time Spurs lose a game now, there's nothing Conte can do. There was no substitutions Conte could make. These were the very same fans that in the window, honestly, you go back to summer podcasts, YouTube channels, whatever, and watch people give their prediction for top 4, right? No one had Man United and Newcastle in their top 4. Everyone said Ten Hag needs years to turn it round. Eddie Howe, Newcastle will probably get, maybe they'll get Europa League.
Not even that. No one
had these clubs up there. And everyone was saying, right, Spurs have bought, we've had a better summer than Arsenal. We're in the Champions League, Arsenal are not. And we've got Conte, they've got a B-Tech Pep Guardiola. Exactly. Fast forward to 20 games into the season, all of those same fans, not all of them, most of those same fans are now, well, Arteta's 3.5 years into his journey, and Arteta was backed in the summer. Hang on, you weren't saying that 20 games ago, and that's what frustrates me. That's why I as much as I don't like ENIC and Levy, I think Soren and Sean especially, they'll at least I think give me the credit that I can look at other aspects.
Yeah, of course, yeah,
that don't work as well as the owner. Just saying it's Levy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Levy over here, Levy out over here. Good. That's that conversation. Now I want a conversation over here about Conte. Now I want a conversation down here about Paratici and about the academy in this box. But for some reason, with so many Levy outers, what frustrates me, and it belittles the argument, is they cannot have more.
It's not that they can't; it's that they don't want to. I think most of them even acknowledge it. Sorry, Soren, I'll let you come in. I think most of them even acknowledge it. That I've seen them acknowledge it. I'm not sure they want to give away the information they do, but they say it themselves. You can't dilute the narrative. Like if you allocate blame over here to Conte or over here to the players or over here to the individual mistakes, then you take away from the message. And I think that is the worst strategy for people that want to affect change and to try and win the hearts and minds of the middle ground and the moderate fan. If you want people to follow into your suit, you should be reasonable. You should be balanced. But when you say, no, can't give any blame here because it takes away from the blame we're putting at Levy's door, I think that they do themselves a massive disservice, a huge disservice.
But for you, if we don't get top four, has Antonio Conte failed? If we don't make top four?
Yeah. Yeah, well, the club has failed. The club has gone backwards this year. If we finish fourth, and even if we get to the final of the FA Cup, that's a better season than it was last season, and I think that's another little march towards progress. And I think that's still a successful season generally.
Yeah, but essentially, the fact that we finished fourth last year, right?
Not finishing fourth this year would 100% be a failed season. Yeah, 100%.
Sits on the manager because, as I said, if you look at Newcastle, right, you look at them, 6 or 7 of their starting 11 now are 6 or 7 of the players that they had when they were bottom of the table, not winning a game under Steve Bruce. So yes, they brought in some good defenders, but they've also got so many of the crap players, sorry for lack of a better term, that were there, right? Equally, I use the Newcastle example like this, guys. When people tell me, yeah, but he's been backed, blah, blah, blah. If in the summer I had turned around to Spurs fans and said, we're buying Nick Pope, people would go, oh, he can't play with his feet. We don't want him. If I'd said we're going to buy Dan Burn, people would go, Dan Burn, he's crap, blah, blah,
100%, yeah.
Newcastle buy them, sort their defence out, and all of a sudden it's, yeah, but Eddie Howe was given the tools to do his job.
Sorry, there's an even better example. I literally heard people last week on certain channels saying, look at the ambition of Newcastle. They've just gone and signed Anthony Gordon.
Like, none of our fans wanted Anthony Gordon.
Same people that were like going, Tottenham are linked with Anthony Gordon. What the fuck is this club up to? And Newcastle's do it.
That's the problem, though, with our club.
Guys, yeah, I got to make a move soon, right? It's going to be 1 a.m. here. Got to start work tomorrow early.
Love you, Jim. Come back again, mate. Come back again.
Sure. But I got one question for you guys. If we win the FA Cup, right, and don't make top 4, right, will it be a successful season?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
It'll be the biggest trophy. It'll be the biggest trophy we've won for 32 years. Of course, it will be.
That's an interesting question.
It depends. It depends where we finish. Is my answer to that.
If we finish fifth in the FA Cup final, and when you win the FA Cup,
fair enough.
I'll take it because it will get that fucking lack of trophy thing off the back. It will shut a few people up.
It will be our most successful season for 32 years.
Well, yeah and no, because the argument of being a successful season for winning a cup that anybody can win against being classed as the 4th best team in the Premier League.
Yeah. And that's the thing, Soren, right? The variance, and when I say variance, I don't mean with a TS, I mean with a CE. The variance that exists in cup competitions is always forgotten about. How you got there. Like, who did you play? Who did your competition play? What was the draw? What happened with refereeing decisions, the weather, replays, the fixture congestion? All of that shit is forgotten over the course of time.
Yeah, it's forgotten. Just as long as you win it, nobody cares what happened along the way.
The reason why Tottenham are so excited about the FA Cup this year is not because Tottenham are playing well. It's because we've got a very fortunate draw, and every other fucking bastard has been paired against somebody else. Yeah. Right. So, like, whereas that's why the best barometer of where you are as a club is your league position.
If we finish 5th and win the FA Cup, then I'll concede it's a successful. If we finish 8th, 9th, or 10th and win the FA Cup,
successful season.
Pardon?
Successfly lucky season, yeah.
If we finish 8th, 9th, or 10th and win the FA Cup, then no, it's not a successful season.
Alex.
Look, the club has to, at some point, guys. Surely you've got to admit. Even if we're saying it's not all about trophies, at some point you've got to put a trophy in the cabinet.
Yeah, you do.
You do. Right? And the fact we've not won this trophy that Soren, you said.
Can I ask a question though? Can I ask a question? Why does it have to be one or the other? Why can't it be both?
If top four and a cup, perfect season.
Soren, you've heard me say this a million times. I hate it when people say either or.
Yeah,
both. But the point is, if we win an FA Cup this season. On paper, it's the most successful season we've had for 32 years.
Yeah, and I get that.
Yeah.
But to me,
since 91, you're right. Yeah.
No trophy, but getting to a Champions League final is more successful.
No. You didn't win it.
Well, no, we didn't win it, but we got there.
Yeah, but that's such a Spursy mentality.
Well, it maybe is.
Yeah, that is a Spursy mentality.
If you listen to all the players, they don't come out and they all come out and say, "I want to play in the Champions League." That's the platform I want to play in. All the players say it. You don't hear them say, "Oh yeah, I don't mind getting relegated, but if we win league."
That's an interesting question you got there, Soren. If we win the FA Cup but finish 5th, does our team look stronger at the start of next season in terms of new incomings and outgoings than if we get to the final and lose but finish top 4?
We don't strengthen if we get Champions League football anyway. What does it matter?
Guys,
what's wrong with you?
Cheers, Eugene.
I gotta go. Right, take care.
Eugene.
We got Alex. Right, have a good show with Alex. Right, Elias. I'll catch up with you later. Sava, nice talking to you. Sorry, take care. Bye.
See you, mate. Take care, bro.
I want to put a poster on my wall of a man holding a silver cup.
We all do. We all do. But I just don't.
Memorial Cup there.
I just don't get the mentality of our fans saying it's one or the other.
I agree. But listen, I actually think that if we did win a trophy, and I know that we got Mr. Box Office, Mr. Trophies are all that matters, bro, is coming in right now. So we're going to let him banter me. He's going to try. He's going to say something. I'm going to bury him in retort, and then he's going to walk away going, "Smashed you there, Butler. I smashed you there, Sean," which is the way that he always seems to go. But listen, I do think that Tottenham, if we did win a trophy, and if we did finish 5th, I think that it would shut a lot more fans up who worry about the trophy drought than finishing top 4 and not winning a trophy. Alex, welcome to the stream, my man. How are you doing?
You're doing so well, Sean. You're doing so well, really well. And then I've got this other guy here beside me right now talking about, why is it not about trophies, bub? Well, that's why we're called Spursy, bub. That's what we're talking about. You know what I mean? The professor of truth talking again. Because Alex, all I've got is people just waffling. By the way, why do you think Chelsea and Manchester United in the top 6, by the way? Oh, yeah, because they've won trophies. Why is Arsenal? Why Arsenal looked as the top 6 club, by the way? Oh, yeah, because they win trophies, by the way. Yes, that's why, yeah. Why is it? Why is it Man City? Why is Man City, even though people were saying that what was going on in the background, why is Man City looked as the top club in the top 6 at the moment? Because they win trophies, by the way. They win trophies. And they win trophies.
They cheated for 15 years.
Because the main event is speaking now. You had your 5 minutes of fame. You had your 5 minutes of fame. You had your 5 minutes of fame. You had your 5 minutes of fame to make yourself known. Mr. Box Office is now talking now, yeah? Because I rinsed people. I made statements. statements, and then they get rattled, and then they tap out, and that's it. That's what I'm all about. That's in my resume, and that's in my statements every single time I'm on the stream, bruv. You know what I mean? That's all I need to say, bruv. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. I am sorry. I'm not hearing it. I am not hearing it. You know what I mean? Don't tell me we don't want trophies when you got Antonio Conte in the building, bruv. Don't get Antonio Conte at Tottenham then, bruv. That's all I need to say, and that's it.
You think Antonio Conte
to have a go at me
into winning
and say
FA
something
Cup?
stupid now, bruv. That's all I need to say, bruv.
Antonio
I'm
Conte
done.
was brought in to win a cup. He was brought in to win the league eventually.
So it's not Alex today.
He's not necessarily a cup manager.
He's not even a cup manager. Someone makes a good point. He's not a cup manager. He's a league manager.
I've just made the point already. I've just said it already. I said he wants championships. He wants championships. No, just think, no, because sorry. You had your 5 minutes of fame already, bruv. I'm making my point again. As I said again. Oh, he's gone now. He's tapped out again. He's tapped out. He's tapped out. He's gone out the building. That's what I'm saying.
You put me to sleep, Alex. You're quicker than Rohypnol.
Oh, well, that's what I'm talking about.
Jesus Christ.
Date rate box office.
Sorry. I'll give you a moment. I'll give you a moment to dig a hole for yourself. Here you go. There you go. There's your moment. Here you go.
So Man United are up in the top 6 because they're winning trophies. Where's Leicester? They won 2 trophies. Why aren't they in the top 6?
Okay, you're going to dig a hole even more servant for yourself. You're saying Leicester City. You're saying Leicester City. Well, I'd rather be Leicester City. I'd rather be Leicester City.
They spend money.
I'd rather be Leicester City than being Tottenham at the moment. I would take that FA Cup every single day, bruv. I will take a Premier League every single day, bruv.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
So would I, but that doesn't mean that anybody that's won a trophy are in the top 6 now. You've just busted your own argument.
Oh, no, you busted your own argument, box office. Box office the buster. What you got to say about that, box office?
I've got nothing to say because he's talking absolute nonsense anyway. What is he talking about?
I've learned off you. I'm talking shit.
Bruv,
no,
I don't talk shit, bruv.
Alex,
I talk the lingo. You talk the zero. You just got the zeros, bruv. That's all I need to say. As I said before, don't talk to me about we don't want trophies when we've got Antonio Conte in the building. Don't employ Antonio Conte then. Don't employ Antonio Conte. Don't employ Jose Mourinho. Don't employ Jose Mourinho.
Sorry, Elias. I'll come to you in a second.
Simple. Done. That's all I need to say.
Elias, wanted just 1 second.
We employ Antonio Conte and give him an 18-month contract.
Okay.
Elias, what are you going to jump in with, mate?
Yeah, I think the point here is whether we are or we are not top 6. I think it's very clear. We have a big difference currently with Newcastle and with Leicester in terms of a lot of things by which we are called the top 6. But I think the question now that we should be asking is what kind of top 6 are we? If we are the top 6, why are we not winning trophies? That should be the right question I think we as fans should be asking rather than saying that are we the top 6 or are we not? I think the answer is obvious. We are a top 6 club at the moment.
I think that we're in our own little league, mate. I think that you've got like there's 5 teams above us that are clearly on a different level, and there's 14 teams below us that are on a different level. And I think that Tottenham are in their own little world, you know, and maybe Brighton and maybe Newcastle are starting to move into it, and maybe Chelsea and Liverpool are starting to lose that top 6 thing, and they're coming down into this second tier. I don't think Tottenham are in that kind of, like, if you are a top 6 club, we are the 6th club of it, and there's a stark difference to the other 5. But what I'd probably say is that there's maybe 4 clubs or 3 clubs in there, generally speaking, and then there's like a second tier. But it's a bit too complicated for people to say. Are you the first? Are you top 3 or are you second 4 or whatever? I don't think that. I think that Tottenham are like in their own little pool with maybe 1 or 2 other clubs that it's unreasonable for us to think of ourselves at that same level. We haven't got the same appetite for risk or spend as the people that are up there do. But I think we're clearly above the kind of the third group of people that are further down that leaderboard, you know.
Sean, I think there's a great question in the comments there. A view from South Stand. Who has been more successful in the last 10 years, Spurs or Leicester? Now, this is where you're going to split it. Consistently better team, I think, is Tottenham. More successful because they've won trophies. Yes, it's Leicester. We can't disagree because it's on
also
paper.
why the last 10 years? Like, why
it
are
doesn't
we doing
matter
that
whether
line
it's
there?
it doesn't matter when it is. But to me, my answer to that question, and I know I'll get blown away for this, but we are the more successful because we have been more consistent in the top 4 than Leicester have. So we have been the better finishers, but without a trophy. Now
we are more consistent. We are not more successful. There's a difference.
No, but this is what I'm saying. It depends what you want to call success. Because yes, we haven't won a trophy, and I get that.
Success is winning.
Well, then Wigan are more successful than us. Would you rather be Wigan than us?
Yes.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes.
Hang on. Can I just say, hang on. The problem is here. Whenever this question is asked, what happens is, Soren, people who ask the question like you just did there, you can't ask one question. You have to ask an either or, which have no relevance.
No,
right?
except this
so
is
hang on. Let me finish. So the question was, would you who was more successful, Spurs or Wigan in that time frame, right? With the premise that you're saying someone's saying it could be Wigan because they've won an FA Cup, right? There's a different question to would you rather be where they are now or where we are now? That's different to who's had more success, right? Leicester, far superior to us success-wise, far superior. They've won a league and the FA Cup. We've won neither. We've won the league in 1961, right? Yeah. And the FA Cup in 1991. So before we belittle Leicester and look where Leicester are now.
No, I didn't belittle. What I said was, what I said was it depends where you take it. As we have been more consistently better than Leicester in the last 10 years, but Leicester have been more successful in the fact they have won the league and the FA Cup. So this is what I'm saying, that would yes, Leicester, on paper, Leicester have been far more successful. I can't disagree with that. But what I'm saying is, as a consistency for a top 6 club, which is the more consistent, we are. And to come out with a statement of, I'd rather be Wigan because they've won an FA Cup and play in whatever division they're in now.
I think the Wigan example is if we think Leicester City is an anomaly in winning the league, Wigan winning the FA Cup is a massive anomaly, right? No one would rather be Wigan.
Birmingham, Middlesbrough.
Yeah,
he's just told us that.
Portsmouth.
But I think Alex, deep down, I think that's not true as well, my man. That's not true. But the point is, look, I sit on the fence of this argument. Are Spurs a top 6 club? Yes, of course we're a top 6 club. Of course we are. Through when you look at where we finished the last 15, 16, 17 years, we are a top 6 club. The point is, lots of those other clubs, though, that they use top 6, top 4, whatever, to kick on and to win things and get success. We've used it to get consistency, but not success. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah.
Right, there you go. That's why I think there's always a middle ground in these conversations, right? Yeah. Should Spurs have won more competitions? I absolutely think Spurs should have won some trophies. There's certain things I can't blame Daniel Levy for. I can't blame Daniel Levy for Spurs losing in a League Cup final on penalties to Man United. I can't. That's not right. Yeah. Do I blame Daniel Levy for not kicking on from when we had that really good 11 under Poch and going 3 windows with just buying Mora? Absolutely, I do. So there's got to be a fair balance to it, right? Yeah, and this is the problem. Whenever I'm speaking now to Levy in people, Levy out people, it feels like it's you're either there or you're there, and all of this in the middle seems to no one wants to. Do you know what I mean? They're like 2 magnets trying to press against. It just won't go. And
I think the thing is with that though, those that are kind of Levy out, predominantly Levy out, it doesn't matter what happens. They're so blinkered to the point of it has to be
not everyone. Not everyone.
No, not everyone. But
you know what? Sorry.
I mean, I'm talking about the staunchest Levy out.
And I hear you, and I'll let you carry on. But just 1 second. What I would say is, I definitely feel like in the last month, there's been, like everything in life, right? Like at the moment, just generally people, whether it's politics, whether it's you're conservative or you're Labour, whether you're Republican or Democrat, whether you trusted the powers that be about COVID or you didn't, like everyone is like parked in their encampments. And definitely with Daniel leaving ENIC, it's such a divided fan base. But I feel like there's so much room in the middle of the road. There's so much room. And if everybody that isn't like so partisan could just like open their mind up and go, do you know what? Like he's not the devil, but he ain't the Messiah either, right? Like he's good at loads of things, but he's bad at these things. And then when you look at what's happening with Manchester City, you look at what's happening with Juventus, you look at what's happening maybe with Chelsea, maybe not with Paris Saint-Germain. You look at the FFP rules that are coming in, and you look at the figures today. I think so many people, and I'm feeling it. I can see it in the comments. Every video I do, people are saying, "Sean, I'm leaving out, but I love your content. It's opened my mind up to a new perspective." Or people that are like, "Sean, I'm with you, but you have to admit that he could still do better in these areas." And I feel like at the moment there's like a little bit of a movement from people that are entrenched into like a middle ground, and I think that's only a good thing. I think it can only be a good thing if you're open-minded. Then we can want better, but we can also be accepting a little bit more of what is the kind of the path of the course at the moment. I don't know if you feel the same, Soren. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest problem with it's maybe not a problem. I think the biggest thing with football fans in general is all we want is to look at is the football team. And I fully get that there have been so many failings in our football club on the pitch. Nobody can disagree with that. You know, there isn't a single Tottenham fan that could come out and say everything's perfect on the pitch. It isn't. And we know that. But I think as owners, what they've done to our club is they've made it, and I know people will say it's to line their own pockets. Well, people that are in business that have their own businesses don't necessarily do it not to make money. That's the point of having a business, is to make money. They've set the whole infrastructure up. You know, our club as a whole, forget the fact of on the pitch, our club as a whole is probably one of the most sustainable clubs out there. It's got the infrastructure, it's got everything ready. The only thing we haven't got is a successful team on the pitch. Now, I know that's the front of house. That's the most important for 99% of the fans. But you've got to look at it as a club as a whole and say, we're not in a bad position.
No, we're in a good position. We're in a good, and I think we'll, even if we were to stand still, I think with the tightening of the rules and the regulations, I think that we will look better and stronger in the next 2 or 3 years because we are run in a certain way that we can approach the new FFP, whereas other teams are going to have to scramble to cut losses and to figure out ways of making it work.
I mean, the problem is when you become successful, and I know success depends on what your class is successful, winning trophy, but the more successful you become, the more you expect. And if you don't hit that, you know, we started getting top 4, so we expected trophies. That didn't come about. That's the problem. Had those trophies come about, even with the teams and the players we've got, we wouldn't be sat here now talking about how bad Levy has been.
You got lucky though, bruv. That's the problem. You got lucky.
But that's how you win it. That's how you win a trophy.
No. You're not understanding me. You're not understanding me. You got lucky. You got lucky with Pochettino. You got very lucky with Pochettino.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
He didn't have a plan to bring in.
You could also make the argument, Alex, that we got unlucky in the first minute of the Champions League final, or we got unlucky in the penalty shootout against
straws again.
No, I'm not, mate. No, hold up, mate. If you're going to allocate,
I'm sorry. I don't.
Let me finish my point.
No, because you just interrupted me. So that's the thing. That's the point. My point is that, you know, I can't subscribe to what you just said. If you're in a final, you have to make yourself known. And the point is, we didn't make ourselves known in that final.
What, in the first minute? In the first minute of the game?
Well, you had all that time to even get an equaliser in that game, though.
60 seconds. The game, the dynamic of the game changes, mate. If that handball doesn't happen, and I'll even go back to the Manchester United in the Carabao Cup final. We drew 0-0, went to penalties. We lose on the penalty shootout. You win that trophy. Tottenham are just as successful in that particular period of Daniel Levy's tenure as they have been in any other period of time. But we lose on a penalty shootout. Everyone forgets the nuance. Everyone forgets the variance, right? We win that Carabao Cup final against Manchester United on penalty shootout we've won another trophy. That then neglects and negates any argument about the most unsuccessful period of time in all of Tottenham's history. And then you can pivot the argument and say, well, not only as under Daniel Levy have we won as many trophies as we did under any other period of 10 years, under any other period of ownership, but on top of that, we've also taken Tottenham Hotspur to our two highest league finishes ever, apart from 1961. And then you throw in and go, well, you got to the Champions League final, and if it hadn't been for a disgusting decision by the referee, by VAR, in the first 60 seconds of the game, which completely rewrote the script, all of a sudden, Tottenham under Daniel Levy is the most successful period of ownership. But because those things didn't happen,
the thing is, though, Sean,
I'd like to come back on that. I'd like to come back on that. I'd like to come back on that because, as far as I'm concerned, again, you're making excuses. Again,
you just said that we were lucky under Pochettino. You're using luck under Pochettino,
because I said
and I'm saying if you're going to use luck, then you can use bad luck.
We did not have a plan to appoint Pochettino. We were looking for other managers beforehand. Yeah, and we only started getting lucky with the fact that Pochettino came into our lap, and that was it.
Yeah.
And it looked like it worked out because of what his strategy was. But we didn't follow that strategy. It's the same with Martin Jol, the same with Harry Redknapp. Those managers only came by luck. They only came by luck.
But isn't football a game of luck?
Well, sorry. I'm not even indulging in this narrative. If you're gonna allocate fortune and only think about the things that have come positively out of fortune, and then dismiss all the things that were bad luck, then I can't listen to you, mate. Like, if you're gonna say that the reason why things happened that were good were because of luck,
say that, Sean.
Because it's fact.
How can you say that shit? Sure, that is just no. Sorry, no.
We either dive into the world of luck or we don't.
I love you because you are like the fuel that get me going. You just get me going so much.
I like to trigger people with irrational. I love to trigger irrationality.
There's no irrationality at all. I'm sorry. If they had a plan.
I'd rather listen to Sepp's dog having a scratch right now than more of your waffle. Captain fucking waffle of luck. What are you chatting about,
me,
bro?
It's just even more proving my point that I've got a point and you don't want to listen to it. That's what I'm saying. Because the professor of entertainment of truth is just talking you under the table again. You know what I mean? You got your man Soren that's dug a hole for himself just now. You know what I mean? And now Mr. Box Office is here to talk about.
The only hole I dug was to chuck you in it.
Oh yeah, well here we go. Like I said, I'll take it all day long.
It's 5:20. We've got to round this up pretty soon. I've got an evening.
Here we go. Oh, I love this. I absolutely love it. Let's round it up right now because Alex is on the rant at the moment. He's going to be unleashed now.
I've got another for you. Are you guys, if any of you want to jump off, got things to do, you can. If you want to stay, we can stay and carry on. I think Alex was about to drop some, opinion bombs.
You're on mute, Sava.
Oh, some people like it that way. I'm going to jump off.
All right, mate. Let me get your link up. Let me get your channel up.
Finish my sentence. I'm going to jump off. Bang on half past.
Oh, okay. All right. Perfect. Okay.
I want beer in hand at pub at 6 p.m.
Sounds nice, mate. Sounds nice.
Yes.
I've got booze arriving from the Uber Eats man shortly. So when I say we're going to wrap up soon, we might not be wrapping up soon. Maybe I'll be unwrapping a bottle of vodka and see where we go.
I want to come in on this point. And Alex, me and you agree on a lot. We disagree on a lot, but we always love each other, man. But I do feel that if we're gonna start looking at managers and go, oh well, he got lucky. The manager that was here for 6 years, he didn't even want it in the first place. Well, you could apportion that to loads of clubs, right? How many clubs? Otherwise, every manager would get it right at every club first time. There's loads of look how many managers Chelsea have been through, Man United have been through, and I'm sure that the manager they got each time wasn't their first choice. I don't feel that. This is what I mean. Find the stick you want to beat Levy with, but make sure those sticks have enough carrot on them, right? Let's not just beat him with a stick for everything, because otherwise, that's where I do agree that the whole Levy. This is why I think the Levy out, Levy in people, of which I am, we all are, I suppose, in some way, will never ever be united for the very reason that most parties are unable to just meet in here and go, okay, I understand what you're saying. Well, I understand what you're saying. but what about this? What about this? We just go, no, everything's shit about them, and no, everything's amazing about them. And that's why I've struggled today with some of the people in the chat, where it's every Spurs player is brilliant, every signing is brilliant, Paratici is brilliant, Conte is brilliant. All right, well, why aren't we winning?
I think my channel, Saba, I've always tried to be balanced. I always try to have as many different voices on here in terms of on the panel as possible. And I definitely think that most people in the comments are generally varied. Like but it's not argument. I don't really see too many arguments. Maybe today you got a bit of people annoying you and stuff. But generally speaking, I think this channel tries to be open-minded, and we'll try and figure it out.
I wasn't really talking about Levy though. I was talking about the whole club. I was criticizing the whole club. You know what I mean? Because the fact is, as I said before, I think we got lucky with our managers, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think there was a plan, and that's my criticism. We haven't got a plan. You know what I mean? Like I said, all I've known is...
I'll actually agree with you on that, though.
Over the years, all I've known is, since Jerry Francis, like I said, and I have said this already on Savage channel, because Savage has been very nice to... Savage been really nice and gave me an opportunity to go on his show every single Wednesday, if you really want to know. Alex CHSC and Savage Talks Football, coming together again, like I said, making the collaboration. But like I said, right, I said, all I've known since Jerry Francis is failure and disappointment. Only seeing cowbell cups, right? We had George Graham playing dire football. We tried to do good football with Glenn Hoddle. Then we luckily came across Martin Yole, Then we luckily came across Harry Redknapp, and then we just luckily came across Pochettino. I said on that very day when I met Chris Cowlin, I said to him after Mourinho came into our club, I said to him, it was the biggest mistake to sack Pochettino, and look what's happened now. You know what I mean? We're trying to do the Pochettino with Antonio Conte, and that's why I don't think he's been backed. Yes, I do agree with what Sav is saying and what everyone's saying. He has been backed in terms of getting top 4, but what is Antonio Conte all about? He's about championships. And that's why I don't agree with what's going on at the moment. And I'm not here to talk about Daniel Levy. I leave it to the people like Brian and my boy Danny, even though he's deluded. I leave it to them and Stelios and all them not to talk about him, But I will talk about the football, because I'm the same person as I go on the football terrace and I have to listen to Man United fans, Liverpool fans, Chelsea fans, Arsenal fans, and they'll tell me, what have you got for me, Alex? What have you got for me? Oh, yeah, nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, but
Alex, you know what I mean?
Alex,
and that's all I need to say.
The thing is, but to come back and I kind of get where you're going with it all, but you've just sort of shot part of an argument down where you've said they've brought Conte in to win the league eventually, but none of our fans want to wait for that to happen. We're saying we want to win an FA Cup or a League Cup this season, but that's got to be before we win the league. Well, not necessarily. If we've brought Conte in, and if it is going to be a long-term situation where maybe next year or the year after we go to win the league, well, we've got to be patient for that to happen.
But sorry, my argument is, bro, there isn't going to be any patience, because, like I said, TikTok contracts ending at the end of the season, bro.
Yeah, but I mean, unless we can guarantee he's not going to be there. I mean, I'm still not sure. I still think he could stay beyond next season.
He's told you. He
hasn't. No, he hasn't.
Bro. He's told you in his statements already. He's already told you in his statements already. And I'll give you a quote. He says, the club's policy is this. My policy is this.
And
why is that conversation not happening?
He's come out and said it's a building process and it's going to take 3 to 4 windows before we can get there.
Bro.
How do you like them apples?
You don't sign a 2-year you don't sign an 18-month contract if you want a long-term vision, bro. Simple as that.
I agree with you.
You know what I mean? I know
he's signing another contract, Alex. Come on,
but if I say, like I said before, if he signs that contract, like Kane, if he signs that contract, there's no moaning. There's no moaning.
There isn't.
There isn't no moaning anymore, because you know exactly what you're getting.
Shouldn't be any fucking moaning anyway.
Because the fact is, everyone knows what Antonio Conte is all about. Everyone knows.
Yeah.
It's not even a question. Like I said it. I said on the Irish Hotspur. Big up to my boy David Harris. Yeah, I said to my boy Irish Hotspur. Yeah, when you're having a conversation with somebody, how many times, yeah, and you're not listening, and he's the winner, and we only won one Carabao Cup, you know there's a problem. Like I said,
on the flip side of that, Alex, if he
I ain't tired, by the way,
if,
James Hunter. By the
if
way,
he
I missed the
does
box
sign-
office. By the way,
if
don't
he
go
does
at me, Bob.
sign a new contract, then that says that Levy has backed him the way he wanted to be backed.
No,
He's been backed.
I need to jump just before I go. Can we just? For me, this whole thing is summed up in the summer. This whole thing will be one way or the other. We'll have the answers in the summer.
Yeah.
If Antonio Conte stays, Alex is right on that front. If Antonio Conte stays, then as fans, it doesn't matter what I think of him, what Sean does, Alex. It doesn't matter what any of us think of him personally. If he stays, cool. He's the manager. Get on with it. But what I don't want to see personally as a fan is if next year, if he has signed, after knowing how the club operate, after knowing how they back him and how they don't, and whatever that looks like, if then next season we start seeing these interviews where toys get thrown out the pram and all these cryptic messages about, the club,
I don't want to hear it.
Want this,
Yeah,
I
don't
want that.
Yeah.
I won't have any empathy or sympathy for him because he knows. However, at the moment, all I'm seeing is a guy that has signed an 18-month contract that seemed to suit him, that seemed to suit Enoch, right? If he goes, it won't surprise me at all. If he stays, then he has got no excuses. And all the fans, right, we have to then get behind him, right? But I will stop getting behind him when the moment he loses, the excuse will be I've not been backed because that's on him then.
Yeah.
That's on him.
I mean, this is where we come in now and say, when we say our managers haven't been backed and let's look at Pochettino, and yet this guy wants to come back to our club. Well, you don't come back to a club if you didn't like the regime you worked under.
I agree.
The thing is with Conte, how do we look at it then if it's because obviously the club have got the option to extend for another year. How do we look at it that way if the club extend it and he can then come out and say, well, it wasn't my decision to...
Well, that's why I say that he needs to walk them and then people have more respect for him. You see what I'm saying? Because, Sava, you've heard me already. I've said it on your show already, yeah? I've said, if he walks, we've got more respect for him right now, right, rather than just saying, carry on. Yeah. Because we all know what Antonio Conte is, and that's it.
But there's a caveat to that, Alex. For me, if he walks in the summer and the reasoning he gives, and we don't know, this is things that we might not ever know. If he walks in the summer and the reasoning he gives is that it's because he wasn't backed, then I will say, well, hang on, you knew that back in January, you should have walked.
Yeah.
But if he stays and signs a new contract, as I've said before, I'll say it a million times, this is how I'm going to sign out, right? That's now on him. He's agreed. I want to see success because if he has signed knowing how the club operate, there can be none of these, oh my God, Conte's not being backed. We're wasting the best manager we've ever had. No. He's wasting his time in that case. He's wasting his time. This is his option right now in this summer to either walk or stay. Am I being backed? Am I not? If he stays, I've got no sympathy, empathy at all. If he goes, we get
the other side to that, Sava, is if he's under that feeling, like you say, why don't he go now? The only reason he's staying then in that sense is because of the money.
I absolutely agree with you. Yeah, absolutely agree with you.
For me, makes him a lesser person than somebody, if he's strongly behind his principles and he doesn't want to be at Tottenham, then you go.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Absolutely.
I agree with that
I can't disagree with you, Soren. I can't disagree with you, Soren. I absolutely agree with you, actually. I've said it myself. Sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Just like United have done. Like James Hunter in the chat saying, why on earth would you want him to walk, though? For me, I think...
We don't want him. That's the thing.
Hang on. I think the thing is, if you had listened to the show at the beginning, Sean and I were in agreement. I don't care about Antonio Conte. I don't sit and get all kind of mushy-eyed.
Yeah. Here today, gone tomorrow. At some point,
over Antonio Conte. If he goes, he goes. If he stays, he stays. I don't care.
They're all just flash in the pan moments at Tottenham Hotspur.
We should employ Stellini, and he got 100% record with us so far.
I think he got 100% record.
Actually, when we play under him, we do have better football.
Sava,
plug your channel, bruv.
Yeah. Get your channel out there, mate.
Everyone should know my channel, but now Sava Talks Football. I am one subscriber away from 3,200. and aiming to get to 3,500 by the 15th of April, which will be my 1-year birthday in YouTube world. Listen, I try and keep it as balanced as possible. Obviously, I stray into not being balanced sometimes when I'm that passionate about a situation. But yeah, listen, I do fan shows, and anyone who wants to come on, I think everyone on this panel's been on my show, repeatedly comes on my show. So yeah, but Shawnee, big up, well done on the 5K. And,
thanks, mate. Thank you for coming on today. It didn't turn out to be a massive financial review that I thought it would. Maybe I'll do that on a different occasion. But Sava, mate, love you for coming on, bro. Always bringing the good insights. And yeah, guys, everyone get over there and smash subscribe. Andy James has just said that he's just joined you now. Everybody else, there's still 220 people watching, which is awesome. Smash the like on this one. Smash the subscribe on Sava's channel. Hit the link. It doesn't take you away from the channel here. Just go over there, hit the subscribe button, and then check him out. When are you next on, Saba? Tomorrow? Today? Tonight?
I'm going out now. I'll probably do a video before Leicester tomorrow, and then and then back on Sunday evening with a Spurs review. So hopefully we'll be talking about a Tottenham win. But I'm going to.
What's your prediction for the game, by the way? What's your score?
2-2.
You think big scoring game as well, though? I think if you're going to have a bet, you have to bet on more than 3 goals. Don't you?
Leicester just go and smack Villa 4-2. Other games they lose 3-0. I don't know. Spurs are the same. You put in a monstrous performance against City, and then the games after we should win, we tend to not. So 2-2, I'll be massively, massively happy with a win. But it is what it is. But I've got to go. Much love to everyone.
Have a good night. Go and enjoy yourself.
Great
as well.
See you, Frank. Take care, Frankie.
Bye.
See you, mate.
I think there's a great comment in the chat, Sean. Why would Conte stay? Well, winning a trophy with Tottenham is probably going to be the biggest job that he'll ever have.
Biggest trophy he's ever won.
Yeah. It'll be the hardest thing to do is win a trophy with Tottenham.
Yeah.
We won't be hard because he should be winning the FA Cup. He should be winning the FA Cup. Simple.
No, but what I'm saying is, though, for a manager to come in and win a trophy with Tottenham, it's a big thing, because nobody else. Look how many have failed at doing that.
Agreed, but at the same time, the FA Cup this season for me is a gettable competition for me. Look at the teams who are in it.
And I mean,
like I said, Harry Kane, Son, Kulu, Richarlison, even though he's bang average, Dojuma, you know what I mean, Kulusevski, you know what I mean, Poro. Well, we don't know yet.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I mean, the only thing that pisses me off is when we say top 4 or a trophy. No, I want both.
Yeah,
why it's standard for the top 6? If you want to be if you're a top 6 club, you get both.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, when we say would we finish top 4 and not have a trophy or 8th and a trophy? No, top 4 and a trophy. That's the way I look at it. And then question that Mo's just asked: why would Conte stay? Why not? Because
money. You get A, he's going to get paid the money. B, he's going to win the trophies. Elias, mate, you've been sitting there for an hour and a half.
Yeah. No, I wanted to make a comment on this.
Jump in because I've got to wrap it up soon, guys. We're going for 3 hours. So, Elias, I'll let you take as long as you want to make your point. Go wherever you want with it, and then we'll round up and go.
The problem with that conversation is that whether we want both FA Cup and Champions League places. It's true that, yes, we do want. But the problem now with Inik is that when they prioritize the Champions League over a cup, like, for example, what they did in 2021, when they prioritized the Champions League positions over that League Cup, that really annoys the fans because fans do want trophies when it's either or situation, when you have to make decisions in terms of the selection of the players. When you actually make a decision, okay, just to get a top 4, when your league still got a lot of more months still to go. When you are all the way out for a Champions League position, I have a problem with that actually, because we do want to win trophies. When you are there to win it game by game. You throw in your best squad for the FA Cup. Let's say if you're in the final or if you're even in the semis. I think the final is now after the league, so it won't be a problem this year around. Mm-hmm. But if you are in the semi-final and then you are like struggling at 5th or 4th, which one do you prioritize? I think we should be prioritizing the FA Cup.
So do I. But given what I would say is looking at the way that report was worded today, I think that if there is truth to suggest that Levy pressurized Mourinho into picking a weaker squad for the Carabao Cup over the league, if there is truth to that rumor, I think you might see the same sort of thing happen again when it comes to a semi-final, because you read that statement, and the one thing that's true and pure is that Tottenham need to create money wherever they come from, wherever it can come from, and the FA Cup doesn't give you any money. The Champions League does. So if there's a situation where you've got to prioritize one or the other, top four, if you play the semi-final on a Saturday and you've got to play whoever, Manchester United, on the Wednesday, is there going to be some pressure from Levy on Conte to pick a specific team for one versus the other? Wouldn't surprise me. I hope not. But I agree with you. Boys, I've loved it, but we go for 3 hours. I'll go around the houses. If you've got any channels you want to promote, let me know. And also let me know for any final thoughts, any takeaways that you want to give. I'll start with you, Alex.
Not really. All I will say is that I know Soren's done really well to defend himself, even though he's still got rattled by me anyway. By the way, I know you always get rattled by me, Sean, because you know that you need to be given your medicine by Mr. Box Office. But if you really want to know and really need to know, I know people want to tap out and don't want to watch and learn the Professor of Truth and Entertainment, but you know where to find me. It's Alex THFC, and if you don't know, get to know. It's the channel that everyone needs to know about, because like I said, I've refreshed the channel, I've reset the channel, and releasing some new content, that something that is actually something new, that's refreshing as well. So get over to my stream, and that's it, and that's all I need to say. And it's Box Office time every single time. I'll give it back to Sean to dig a hole for himself like always.
Big up, bro. Big up.
I love you, mate. I love you. You're hilarious. You're such good value. Thank you, Alex, for coming on. Soren, any channel, anything you want to put out there, mate? OCD Whiskey on Twitter.
I just need 5 minutes to get over what Alex has just said. But no, look, I mean, I haven't got a channel. I just want to say I love coming on these. It's even better when Alex comes on, because I've got to say thank you for 5 minutes of fame.
You earned it, bro. You earned it.
Yeah. But no, big up to everybody, and all I can say is, come on, you Spurs.
Nice one, mate. Thank you so much for coming on as always. Elias, have you got at Step Up Spurs? Is that what your Twitter is?
Yep, that's the one. Yeah. So
Twitter,
yeah, I mean,
at Step, all one word, at Step Up Spurs.
Yeah, I just posted the link in the chat, in the private.
Oh, you
chat.
did? Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
We find it for you. You got a YouTube channel. I didn't know you got a YouTube channel. Okay.
Sean,
yeah, so I just started my channel
about that's the American way, isn't it? Sorry, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, I just started my channel like a week ago. So I actually try to engage with fans from different parts of the world. Like I got a few African friends from Turkey, and one or two from US. So I do shows usually at like the Mountain Time or the Eastern Standard Time, because it suits me here in Malaysia as well. So yeah, I have now 75 subscribers. So I'm just 25 away. Some of you can go and just subscribe. And
I'll go and subscribe to you now, mate. Let me go and get it done.
Yep.
1 second.
And help me hit the 100 if possible before the Leicester game. That would be great.
Yeah. Nice. Guys, if there's still 170 of you watching, show some love to Alex THFC. Show some love to Elias on their YouTube missions. And of course, if you're on Twitter, at OCD Whiskey is also the link for Soren. Guys, we'll be back. I'm going to the game tomorrow. I'm driving up there, so I won't be around tomorrow. I won't be on a watch along either. I'm usually on the Irish Hotspur, but take your pick. There'll be a bunch of different live streams or watch alongs, whatever going on. But I love you all. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by on the afternoon. Thank you to Elias. Thank you to Soren. Thank you to Saba. Thank you to Alex. Was there anybody else? Oh, and Eugene. Thank you to Eugene as well.
What about United's American?
Oh, and Jacob. Shit,
Jacob.
There was 7. And Jacob as well. Massive thanks to you guys. Get over to Jacob tonight. He's on there. He's on, I think I put the link up earlier. United Spurs of America. They're going live at 10:30 UK time. Guys, we'll leave it there. Before I go, quickly, round the houses. Elias first, then Soren and Alex. What is your score prediction for the game tomorrow? Leicester Tottenham.
2-0 Tottenham.
2-0 Tottenham. Soren?
2-1.
2-1 Tottenham. Alex?
2-1 Leicester. Emerson makes a mistake.
And what a lovely way to finish it. There's the positive way to go. Enjoy your Friday night, everybody. And I'm going for a 4-2 Tottenham win. I think it's going to be a belter. I can't wait. Like, share, and subscribe, guys. Hit the comments on the way out. Hit the subscribe on the way out. And as always, Bye-bye.